So today I'm gonna read you 1 hour of random Minecraft facts to help you fall asleep. Get comfy, tuck yourself in, and listen to me yap. This feels very intimate, but anyways, here we go. If you feed a cookie to a parrot, it will actually kill the parrot instantly. This is because chocolate is toxic to parrots in real life, and in Bedrock Edition, feeding a cookie causes the parrot to become poisoned for 1,000 seconds. Funny enough, parrots in Minecraft actually originally were able to eat cookies, but this quickly changed due to concerns that children would replicate this in the real world. If skeletons get trapped inside powdered snow, it can actually transform into a stray. Once you think about it, it makes perfect sense because the stray is literally the cold weather variant of the regular skeleton. He's even got clothes on to keep himself warm. It's like Minecraft is secretly telling us a little story about how mobs adapt to their environment. Did you know there are 7 different types of pandas in Minecraft? Like the normal, aggressive, lazy, worried, playful, weak, and the super rare brown panda, which only has around a 2% chance of spawning naturally. You can tell the difference between all of the pandas by looking closely at their faces. They all have different emotions, which I didn't know. Minecraft's original name was actually Cave Game, which was an official temporary name given by Notch. And believe it or not, the name Minecraft was suggested by a player named Paul. Notch ended up loving the name Minecraft and described it as a lightweight, descriptive, catchy, and slightly ironic. And the rest is history. Now Minecraft is embedded in all of our childhood stories. In 2011, when the Enderman was introduced in 1.8, the Enderman originally released with green eyes instead of purple. And not only that, Endermen were able to pick up any full block in the game, including illegal blocks like mob spawners and even bedrock. That would have been a cheat code nowadays. I would have completely erased the bedrock floor in Minecraft by now. But today, Endermen obviously have purple eyes and can only now pick up a limited set of blocks, like dirt. And they literally place it in the most annoying spots. The original sound of the gas actually comes from a cat, but not just any random cat. It was C418's cat, who made the noise while being disturbed during a peaceful sleep. And if you don't know, which you should, C418 was the guy responsible for making some of Minecraft's most iconic music of all time. So shout out to C418. Did you know a lot of mobs are affected when struck by lightning? We all knew when a creeper is struck by lightning, it becomes supercharged. But did you know if a villager is struck by lightning, it also turns into a witch? Or when a pig is struck, it turns into a zombified piglin? Red mushroom cows also turn into brown mushroom cows, and vice versa. And a turtle will die instantly if struck by lightning, dropping a bowl instead of seagrass. I don't know why a turtle would drop a bowl, but yeah. A hoe actually has a lot more uses than just farming, and it's the preferred tool to break blocks like skulk, ward blocks, shroom lights, hay bales, targets, sponges, and even moss blocks. I still don't understand why shroom lights are broken faster with a hoe. It doesn't make any sense to me, but it does. So we all know the end portal requires 12 eyes to activate it, but each frame block has a 10% chance to spawn with an Eye of Ender already placed inside of it, which means that having a naturally fully lit end portal has a 1 in 1 trillion chance to spawn. And yet a couple of these seeds have already been found and posted on YouTube, which is insane. That is like me finding a girlfriend or even just a girl to talk to, which hasn't been documented yet, so maybe one day. Another fun random cookie fact, if you guys haven't heard already, I am planning on face revealing next month in December 2025. This is something a lot of you guys have been waiting on for over 4 years, and I never had a problem with face revealing. It's just I started my channel faceless and it kind of just became my thing. But I truly believe I'm funnier in real life and I'm just way sillier and stupid. So I think it's finally time for me to face reveal and to step into a new realm of content. I think I have a lot of fun things planned. I've already filmed like 50 different TikToks of just me living my normal life to post on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm planning on getting an office so I can IRL stream with a face cam, and that's gonna be a lot of fun because I'm planning on putting like a basketball net behind me so I can like go dunk in the middle of my Minecraft stream just for fun. But don't expect me to look like Michael B. Jordan or anything. Eventually I might have brick face reveal and we can IRL stream together. It's just always been my dream to be a big YouTuber with a face, or just stream with face cams on playing games. I think it'd be so much fun. So get ready for December because I'm literally gonna blind you guys with how chopped I am. Anyways, let's continue the facts. Falling down into a bed will reduce your fall damage by 50%. A hay bale will reduce your fall by 80%. And surprisingly, falling onto a sweet berry bush, no matter the height, will reduce it by 100%. I don't know why. There's nothing about a sweet berry bush that would break your fall damage. It has the same effect as a cobweb, but cobwebs are so annoying because you're literally just stuck in it for like 5 minutes. You might as well call your stepbro to get you out. You might think the classic Steve skin is rocking a little smile, but here's the crazy part. He's he's actually not smiling at all. The pixelated grin we've all known is officially confirmed to be not a smile, but a beard. Honestly, no matter what Mojang says, I'll always see it as a smile. To me, Steve will forever be that happy, blocky face we all started our Minecraft adventures with. Thinking about Steve being a grown man kind of makes me uncomfortable. I still see him as like a 14-year-old Minecraft skin kid. Dude, did you know creepers were originally a coding mistake made by Notch when he was trying to create the pig by reversing the width and height values? This mistake made the creeper we know now today, which stands up straight instead of a pig. Notch just made him green and made him blow up, which is probably the most annoying feature ever created. That one mistake haunts me every single day. If you get a skeleton to shoot a creeper enough times, it ends up dying, and the creeper will actually drop a music disc. Nobody really knows why this is a feature, but at least we have a method to make music disc farms now. Such a weird thing, but honestly it's kind of fun. It feels like a game trying to get skeletons to shoot a creeper. It feels like friendly fire. The satisfaction you get though when it pops out a music disc is like 10 out of 10. Skeletons and zombies are completely unaffected to insta damage potions. Instead, they can be damaged by only insta healing potions, which is kind of reversed due to them being labeled as undead mobs. On top of this, they are not affected by regeneration or poison potions either. You literally need to heal the skeletons and zombies to kill them. One of the rarest biomes in the game is the mushroom fields, or as I like to call it, the mushroom island. Since it almost always spawns surrounded by a deep ocean, the unique thing that some of you may not know about the mushroom island is that hostile mobs do not spawn in this biome no matter what time of day it is, making it a great place to set up a farm or a base, and which is why it is so rare to find. I should have set my base up in a mushroom island so no creepers can haunt my dreams. The well structure in the desert was added all the way back in version 1.2.1 and it's been considered one of the most useless structures added to the game since. But once 1.20 came around with the addition of suspicious sand, you can finally find suspicious sand under the water of the well, which makes it still pretty useless unless you're a fan of pottery shreds, like my friend Brick. He loves his brick pots, so wells might be his favorite structure in the game. Every time you use an anvil, instead of the anvil taking damage the same amount every time you use it, the anvil actually only has a 12% chance to take damage, which leads to the anvil looking a little mined or used, eventually breaking the anvil entirely. You can expect to get around 25 uses out of every anvil before it breaks, and you need to craft a new one. Everybody already knows about cobblestone generators, but have you seen a basalt generator before? It requires soul sand and blue ice. If the lava flows into a space where the soul sand is at the bottom and the blue ice is on top of it, it will form basalt blocks, making an infinite basalt generator, which nobody in the world ever needs or wants. Originally, the warden was never meant to be an overworld mob. In fact, the warden was supposed to be a nether mob, which would release in the 1.16 nether update. He was described as a blind piglin that can only respond to sounds, and was supposed to have its own unique biome. This idea was likely scrapped so the overworld could have its own proper boss mob. And eventually, I feel like the ancient city is going to turn into some dimensional portal, which would take us somewhere brand new. That might come in like 10 years though. Lots of mobs in Minecraft have very specific fears, such as Endermen being afraid of water, creepers being afraid of cats, skeletons are afraid of dogs, hoglins are afraid of fungus, piglins are afraid of fire, which kind of doesn't make sense because they are born in the nether. But the least known, that pandas are afraid of thunderstorms and will hide their faces during a storm. I didn't even know that. That's kind of cool. After crafting a snow golem, you can use a pair of shears to cut off and drop the pumpkin's head, revealing the snow golem's funny, silly face underneath and turning him into a normal snowman. That's going to be me in December when I face reveal. You're going to see my silly, ugly face and it's going to blind you all. Sorry, not sorry. Blue ice is actually more slippery than regular ice or packed ice, which means boats can travel faster on blue ice. Using blue ice allows the boat to travel almost twice as fast as any other ice, at almost 73 meters per second, which the other ices only allow a 40 meter per second travel speed. I have no idea what 70 meters per second is in Minecraft blocks, but it sounds kind of fast. I don't know. Foxes obviously like to pick up items, but if a fox manages to get its mouth on a totem and ends up taking a fatal amount of damage, the totem will actually activate its effects and save the fox's life. So totems don't only work on humans. Did you know the position of a wolf's tail actually indicates how much health the wolf has? If the tail is tall and high in the air, that means your wolf has a lot of health, and if the tail is low to the ground, it means he's about to die. So feed your wolf some meat so its tail becomes erect again. A full Minecraft day cycle takes 20 minutes to complete. This means every single 100 days video requires at least 2,000 minutes or 33 hours of pure footage to complete. And when I film my 100 days videos, it actually takes me longer than 33 hours because all of the extra footage I need to record, like B-roll and just setting up the story, I guess. And that doesn't even include editing and post-production. So a full 100 days video takes me and my team over 100 hours to do. So yeah, that is a random fun fact of my videos. A lot of people think Minecraft worlds are infinite, but if you manage to travel a staggering 30 million blocks from spawn, you will find a naturally placed world border. The fastest way to reach the border would be by traveling in the nether, since 1 block in the nether equals 8 blocks in the overworld. If you use shears on a mushroom cow, it will turn back into a regular cow and drop the mushrooms from its back onto the ground. But the cow will not turn back into a mushroom cow no matter how long you wait, so make sure you don't shear your cows. You can feed brown mushroom cows certain types of flowers, and you'll get certain types of suspicious stew back when you milk them with a bowl. An oxy daisy flower will give regeneration, a corn flower will give jump boost, and an allium flower will give you fire resistance, a blue orchid and dandelion will give saturation, an obscure bluelet will give you blindness, poppy and torch flowers gives you night vision, tulips give weakness, lily of the valley gives poison, and wither roses of course gives wither effects. Honestly, reading that entire fact, I felt like I was reading a fairy tale. Somebody test this and tell me if this is true or not. Instead of throwing away your old worn armor, try smelting it. You can smelt any piece of gold or iron armor in a furnace to get 1 nugget back. You heard that right, 1 single nugget. Not even an ingot, just 1 nugget. You know what? On second thought, just throw away your armor. It's completely useless. A single piece of coal can smelt exactly 8 items. A blaze rock can smelt 12 items. A dried kelp block can smelt a whole 20 items. A block of coal can smelt 80 items, which is like getting an extra piece of coal, since 9 individual pieces of coal would only smelt 72. So a block of coal is actually a buy one get one deal. But the actual best source of fuel in the game is easily the lava bucket, which smelts 100 items before running out. The millionth person to ever buy Minecraft, some guy named Akronman1, who was probably LeBron James because he was born in Akron, Ohio, who still has the same username today, was gifted the millionth customer cape by Mojang themselves. The cape features a purple background with a gold star in the middle. It should have been a cookie instead of a star, to be honest, but hey, congrats, bro. We're all special like you, man. Netherite armor and tools are completely immune to burning in fire and even float in lava. So if you ever die in lava with full netherite, at least you can come back and get your armor and tools that survived. Everything else though, yeah, say goodbye. They're all burned to crisps and you'll never see them again. Naming any rabbit Toast will turn it into a black and white rabbit. The lore behind the name Toast is that a random Reddit user, his girlfriend's rabbit sadly went missing, and a Minecraft developer named Ryan Holtz saw the post and added the tribute into the game, so Toast is never forgotten. That is a really cool addition. I didn't even know that existed. When you throw a chicken's egg, there's about a 12% chance a baby chicken will spawn, but there's actually a 0.39% chance that the egg will pop out 4 baby chickens at the same exact time, which means if you throw 256 eggs, you should at least get 1 egg spawning 4 chickens. I love when this happens. It's so satisfying. Skeletons, wither skeletons, zombies, creepers, and even piglins all drop their respective heads when they are killed by a charged creeper explosion, which makes obtaining mob heads possible, but extremely difficult without a trident with channeling, unless you want to wait around for a lightning strike to hit a creeper, which will probably take years. According to Notch, the Ender Dragon is actually a female, and even Notch gave the Ender Dragon the nickname Jean. So whenever you kill the Ender Dragon and harvest her egg, just know you're stealing away Jean's babies. Shame on you. If you place a bed in the nether or the end and try to sleep, the bed will explode. I'm sure we all knew this, but did you know it's not the same for villagers? Apparently, villagers have a special power that allows them to sleep peacefully inside both the nether and the end without a massive explosion happening. These lucky villagers, man. If you want to take on the challenge of mining obsidian with your fists, it would take you 250 seconds to break obsidian. However, if you use a wooden pickaxe, it halves the time to 125 seconds, which is a little over 2 minutes. But with a stone pickaxe, you can mine obsidian in just a minute. An iron pickaxe takes about 40 seconds. A gold pickaxe only takes 21 seconds. A diamond pickaxe cuts it down to 9.4 seconds. And of course, if you use a netherite pickaxe, it only takes 8.3 seconds to mine obsidian. In order to craft a fully powered beacon, it would take you 1,476 ingots to build, which is 164 blocks. Now, if you want to create a full netherite beacon, this would take nearly 6,000 netherite scraps. And don't forget the gold you need as well. You can literally just use the gold to craft a full beacon yourself. And this is why I've never built a netherite beacon in my hardcore world. It would take me forever. But maybe at 10 million subscribers, so click the subscribe button if you haven't already. A sponge can soak up to 7 blocks of water in every single direction, which equals to about 65 blocks at once. On top of this, sponges can be normally dried out by smelting them in a furnace. But if you place them inside of the nether, the sponges will dry die instantly. Ancient Debris has a very strong blast resistance, which is why a lot of players use TNT and beds to mine in the nether for netherite, instead of using a boring old pickaxe. It's also so much more fun, risky, and fast too. The dragon head found at the tip of the End City ship can be worn by placing it on the helmet armor slot, and actually animates itself when you run around with it on. But a lot of people don't know that if you power the dragon head with redstone, the dragon head actually moves and becomes animated, which could make some really cool builds. When you attack a mob and land a critical hit, those hard particles that pop off the mobs aren't random at all. It actually directly shows how much damage you inflict on the mob. So if you see 5 hearts pop out of a mob, you just did 5 hearts worth of damage. If you need an easy way to transfer mobs down, you can use some leads and attach the mobs to a chicken, and then push the chicken off, and the chicken actually works like a parachute, allowing the mobs to slowly fall to the ground. Honestly, I need to start using this. This is genius. If you spawn a snow golem in a desert biome, since it's so hot, the snow golem will start to take damage and die pretty much instantly. But if you quickly apply fire resistance potions to the snow golem, it will be able to survive in the hot conditions for as long as the effects last. If your iron golem has been through and looks all damaged like this and beat up, you can actually repair him by feeding him an iron ingot. But you cannot use iron nuggets, raw iron, or iron blocks. It only works with an iron ingot. Gold is the only type of ore in the game that is unable to break and collect itself. Meaning, if you break a gold ore using a gold pickaxe, the block will still obviously break, but no gold ore will be dropped. Luck potions that can be obtained in creative mode allows the players to have a higher chance of obtaining higher quality loot. But did you know that there's actually the opposite effect called bad luck, only able to be given out with a command? The icon for bad luck has changed 3 times and resembles a dead, dried out 4-leaf clover. And the potion effect itself hasn't been removed due to the usage from map creators. If you create a brand new world, your very first enchantment on an iron sword will always be looting 3 without fail. However, if you end up logging out of your single player world before enchanting the iron sword with looting 3, then your next enchantment will be randomized. So you only have 1 chance to obtain it. If you used a glow ink sac on a sign to make it glowy but you regret it, you can actually use a regular black ink sac from a squid to reverse the effects of the glowy sign, turning the glowy sign back into a regular old sign. And when evokers see blue sheep around them, the evoker will emit an orange particle while saying "oh woo 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 woo," and which casts a spell upon the sheep. It literally just sounded like I just read some folk fairy tale Harry Potter story, which will turn its blue wool into red wool. This is a reference from the game Age of Empires, where monks can change their color of the team. In Age of Empires, sheep don't require monks to change teams, and any type of unit can claim them. If it's raining inside of your hardcore world, you can actually sleep in your bed faster. 32 Minecraft minutes early to be exact. But we all know Minecraft minutes aren't the same as real world minutes. So this math turns out to be a little less than 27 seconds. But hey, 27 seconds is a pretty long time, especially when beds are involved. If you hit a creeper with a slash potion and allow the creeper to explode, the creeper will emit the lingering potion effects upon its death. This is the only way to have the lingering potion effect without having a bottle of Dragon's Breath. After the 1.20 update, the Desert Temple actually was given a new secret room that not many people know about. There is a little section of sand in the top part of the temple, and you can use a brush to reveal some loot from the suspicious sand, revealing emeralds, pottery shards, and other sorts of random loot. If you ever take a close look at an empty hotbar, you'll realize something familiar about the texture. The texture of the hotbar is the same exact texture as regular sand, adjusted with a really low opacity. It's very easy to notice this if you look into the sky, and this is also something you would probably never unsee again, so I'm sorry about that. Breaking a tripwire trap with your hand or any sort of tool will still trigger the tripwire itself, but if you take the extra step of using shears to break the string between the tripwire hooks, the trap will actually not trigger. It's kind of like cutting the right wire when you're defusing a bomb, like we're always in that situation in real life. Nitwits, the villagers who wear a green coat, are completely unemployed and useless. They actually wake up a little later than the rest of the responsible villagers who actually have jobs. It kind of reminds me of some of my friends who wake up at 4 p.m. Nitwits will wake up 1 minute and 40 seconds later than the rest of the village, truly living the unemployment life. Putting a hay bale underneath a campfire will allow the smoke to rise even further than normal, reaching a peak of 24 blocks high instead of the normal 10 blocks. And this is a trick I use in most of my builds when I'm using campfires. Breeding a horse with a donkey using some golden apples or golden carrots will always result in the baby of the parent becoming a mule. Similar to the way cats always land on their feet in real life, cats in Minecraft will not take any fall damage no matter how high up they fall. It could be 10 blocks or 100 blocks or even 1,000 blocks, and the cat will still fall to the ground without taking a single heart of damage. They are literally invincible. Pretty much everyone knows if you're playing Minecraft on a computer, you can grab a copy of your block that you're looking at by using the middle mouse button. But what a lot of players don't know, if you hold Control plus the middle click button on your mouse and then click an item such as a sign with text on it, it grabs the chest with the same NBT data, allowing you to place the same exact items over and over inside of the chest. Blowing up TNT in water is usually impossible, but here's a fact you'll only know if you played Minecraft Factions back in the day and raided bases. If you drop a piece of sand on the TNT as it's about to go off, even inside of water, the TNT will still explode and break the surrounding blocks. A small tip that will make a lot of players' lives easier involves dropping items. Q is the default drop key in Minecraft, and the way to quickly drop items is by holding down the Q button to spew items out. Or if you want to drop a complete stack of blocks, you can hold Control Q to instantly drop the entire stack. In Java edition of Minecraft, the little green book that allows you to quickly craft items and show the recipes of books seen in the inventory screen actually has an official name. It's called the Knowledge Book. And something even more interesting, the book is obtainable with commands allowing it to be held in the inventory. If you're one of the people who still to this day doesn't know what Banes of Arthropod does, well, you're about to learn. Most people know that Banes of Arthropods increases damage to spiders and cave spiders, but something most people don't know is that it also increases damage to silverfish and endermites. On top of all of this, it applies the slowness 4 effect to these mobs. Usually when you want to craft walls or fences, you have to choose your materials wisely, because you only get the choice of either the fence or the wall, unless you decide to use nether bricks, because nether bricks are the only type of block in the game to have both a regular fence and a wall variant craftable. The Minecraft clock has a total of 64 frames, and each frame takes 18.75 seconds before moving to the next frame, fulfilling the entire Minecraft day of lasting about 20 minutes total. Baby piglins are some of the most greedy little gremlins in Minecraft. They don't give items back when you give them gold, they don't pay taxes, they don't pay rent, but you get the point, they don't do much for society. They kind of remind me of my friend Brick. Placing a hanging sign yields a different chain shape depending on if you're crouching or not. Without crouching, you'll get the regular 2 chains holding up the signs, but if you crouch, the chain turns into more of an upside down V shape, so pick whichever one suits your build the most. It takes a whopping 81 regular pieces of ice to create one singular blue ice. Turn those 81 regular ice into 9 packed ice, then the 9 packed ice into 1 block of blue ice. That is the worst buy one get one deal I can ever think of. If you ever wanted to see Minecraft through the eyes of a mob, you actually can. Once you go into spectator mode, you can click on any mob and see the world through their eyes. Some mobs like the creeper even have a special vision where the entire world is shown as green. Endermen have a completely inverted color vision and kind of the same view as me because I'm Asian, very squinty, and spiders get usage out of all 6 eyeballs, making a really weird effect to look at in Minecraft. Did you ever wonder what the single piece of magenta glass is for on the end ships within the end cities? Well, on snapshot 15W31A, which is one of the first snapshots where end cities were added, the developers had beacons inside of the ships with speed 1, but this was later revealed to only be for testing purposes and was removed in later snapshots. Imagine if you get a beacon and an elytra from raiding end ships. That would have been insane. But the piece of magenta glass used to change the color of beacons remains to this day. Drinking a bucket of milk will completely remove any potion effects you have, but something more useful is bottles of honey. Drinking a bottle of honey will remove only the negative potion effects, like poison or slowness, and you'll keep all of your positive potion effects, like fire resistance. Despite being a flying mob, ghasts actually do not spawn in the air. Ghasts still spawn on the ground just like any other mob. Yeah, you thought you were special, huh? Just because you can fly, you still have to spawn on the ground. However, they require a lot more space to spawn, needing a free area of 5 by 5 blocks wide and 4 blocks high to fit their big back in the world. A lot of people believe that if you let the leaves on the trees despawn naturally, you have a higher chance of leaves dropping sticks, saplings, and apples. But this is actually a myth. It doesn't matter matter if you let leaves despawn or if you break it all by hand. The same exact drop results will occur. So if you're in a rush for saplings or apples, just start breaking leaves with your fist instead of waiting around. I personally will never believe this though, because my entire life of playing Minecraft, waiting for it to despawn naturally just seemed more lucky than breaking it by hand. Sugarcane is most commonly planted on either dirt or sand. And no, sugarcane does not grow faster on sand, despite many people swearing by this theory for years. But anyways, did you know you can also plant sugarcane on grass blocks, coarse dirt, rooted dirt, podzol, mycelium, sand, red sand, suspicious sand, moss blocks, and even mud? So choose your block wisely. And legend has it that sugarcane actually grows faster on mud. Source, trust me, bro. All the way back in Minecraft 1.2.1, which is like the earliest version ever, I swear, there were two unused hieroglyphic textures added to the game. I don't know how to say that word. That is a huge word. One of the blocks has little shapes on it and a creeper face inside, and the other block kind of resembles a breeze or a blaze. To me, it looks like a breeze. That is kind of insane. So maybe Minecraft was planning these blocks way earlier than we realized, like years ahead. Lecterns were originally developed all the way back in 2012 by Dinnerbone himself, but there were too many technical problems that arose with this new block. So the idea was thrown away. But luckily in 2018 with the 1.14 update release, Mojang decided to revisit this idea and successfully added lecterns into the game without breaking Minecraft. And I think it's a pretty awesome block to use as decoration. Every single type of glazed terracotta can be found within naturally generated structures in the game, except for 3 specific types of terracotta, which is green, magenta, and pink. These can only be crafted by the player and aren't found across the world, unlike all the other colors. To this day, I still don't know why glazed terracotta exists. It seems like such a broken, untextured like mistake of a block. I'm gonna be honest. It's kind of like me. Everybody knows that sugarcane only grows up to 3 blocks tall, but if you're hunting down sugarcane naturally, there's a pretty high chance you'll be able to find sugarcane that's actually 4 blocks tall, which is a 1 in 9 chance. And I'm sure we've all seen this before and we're amazed thinking we found something super rare, but it's like an 11% chance. To breed a sniffer in Minecraft, you need 2 torchflower seeds, and unlike any other mob that just pops out a tiny version of themselves, sniffers will actually drop an egg that you must place down and give it time to fully hatch. But did you know that baby sniffers actually have an official name? They're called snifflets, and it's probably one of the coolest and most matching names I've ever heard. Like when we see a baby cow, we just call it baby cow, or a baby pig. We call baby sniffers snifflets. Like that is so cute. If you're ever looking for the most efficient smelting fuel, whatever you do, do not use bamboo or scaffolding blocks. Bamboo and scaffolding are the absolute worst fuel source in the entire game. Only smelting 25% of an item for every single bamboo. So you need 4 entire pieces of bamboo just to smelt 1 piece of cobblestone. Talk about a scam. Cake is one of the most unique and coolest foods in Minecraft. A lot of people see it as a trophy or a milestone to create a cake within their world. But you probably didn't know cake was added to Minecraft as a celebration when Minecraft won 2010's Indie of the Year awards. So every time you bake a cake, remember that you're celebrating one of the best games ever created all time. So it's pretty cool to be one of Minecraft's biggest YouTube creators. So thanks guys. Putting a block above a chest usually makes it so you can't open the chest at all. It just completely blocks it. But a little building tip that I use all the time ever since I was a kid is I place stairs or slabs above the chest so it can still be opened, because these blocks don't count as a full block. So it's kind of a building hack if you want to add a nice design or detail to your chest room. If a hoglin is exposed to the overworld for 15 seconds, it will turn into a zoglin. And a zoglin will also be given the nausea effect for 10 seconds after the zombification, which doesn't do anything to the zoglin. It just shakes and looks kind of stupid. But while we're talking about zoglins, if you're getting chased down by one, just place down an armor stand, and zoglins for some reason absolutely hate armor stands and will just start attacking them. I don't know why they do this. Maybe they're dumb and can't see straight and just think an armor stand is me and they start attacking it. I don't know. There is a total of 35 different horse skin patterns, ranging from white, gray, black, dark brown, light brown, chestnut, and even creamy. My favorite skin pattern. If you fall into a pit of lava, it will only take 2.5 seconds for you to fully burn and die. But you can increase the time of survival by putting on some armor. The better the armor, the longer it takes to burn. With the longest time you can survive being 11 full seconds by wearing netherite armor. The chestplate is the only piece of armor in the game to not have any sort of unique enchantment, which means the helmet has Aquan Affinity and Respiration, boots have Soul Speed and Feather Falling, and leggings have the new Sneak Swift enchantment. And the chestplate has nothing special to it, but at least it covers your nipples, so I guess that's a benefit. If you ever need enchanted golden apples, or god apples as we call it back in the day, ancient cities will be the best place to find them, because chests inside of the ancient city has the highest chance of spawning golden apples, with an 8.4% chance spawning 1 to 2 golden apples every single time. That's if you don't die to the warden blasting you with his spitballs. If you're ever building a gold farm, it is pretty annoying to walk on magma because it just burns you every time. You always need to hold sneak. But if you want to be god and walk on magma without shifting, you can enchant Frostwalker on your boots, which will allow you to walk freely on magma blocks without taking any damage, basically becoming Jesus himself. Everybody knows how the golden carrot looks in Minecraft, but if you're an OG player, you probably remember the original texture of golden carrots does not look like what it does today. But if you're even more OG, you would know that the golden carrot had 4 total textures to it. The first texture being this long curved carrot all the way back in 12.34a, whatever it is, and then a stubbier one later on, which is even worse. But then they decided to make it look like a normal carrot and not shame us for being born naturally. The decorated pot is a pretty underutilized item in the game, and since the pot has 4 sides, you can put a different design on every single side. That means there is an insane 194,481 total unique designs of the brick pot. I'd like to challenge somebody who could collect every single combination in survival. That would take me forever. 1 million likes and I'll collect all 200,000 unique design pots and have brick help me. If you ever take a close look at deep slate blocks, which should be Grimstone blocks, you notice that they behave in the same way that logs do, meaning they are directional, and depending on which way you place them, that is the way textures will face. I honestly don't like this at all. It is so annoying placing down deep slate blocks. It just looks all messed up. The ally mob was originally planned to be added in 2020's Nether update, and other names for it was the Wisp or the Pixie, but in 2020 the idea was scrapped away and reintroduced for the 1.19 mob vote, where the ally actually won against the Glare and the Copper Golem. But now Minecraft is bringing the Copper Golem to life, which is actually my favorite. That is what I voted for back in 2022. Did you know the pufferfish had 2 known textures? The first one was released back in 1.7 and it was much brighter yellow and looked like it had 2 black eyes. It looked kind of shocked and scared. And the other one actually looked like a fish. But the texture we know now for the pufferfish is way more colored. It has like a pale belly and it has like 2 arms sticking out. He kind of looks derpy and he's really annoying. The sound of a slime bouncing around is the same exact noise you hear when placing down and breaking a sea pickle. Horses have all different types of healths, speeds, and jumping abilities. But on the other side of the family, we have donkeys, which can have different levels of health, but the jumping ability and the speed is always the same no matter what, because they are fat slobs and they don't like to work out, kind of like my friend Brick. The only way to get a donkey with better abilities is by breeding it with faster horses, but that results in a mule. So it's not really a donkey. It is more like a Shrek. The annoying, very useless wandering trader that we all hate has been rocking the same outfit since he was added all the way back in version 1.14. But before he was given his iconic blue robe hood, there was a few designs that Mojang considered for the wandering trader. The first one being this design where the wandering trader has a giant green emerald stuck inside of his forehead, kind of like Lil Uzi Vert when he implanted a diamond inside of his forehead. I don't know why he did that. And he also rocked lighter blue clothes with a darker blue cape, along with a pouch of giant emeralds in the front. Another design choice for the wandering trader involved keeping pretty much the same colors and robe that we have today, but instead of a hood, the wandering trader would have been wearing a fedora hat, which looks absolutely hilarious. He kind of looks like a scavenger or some zookeeper, or he looks bald. I mean, I guess villagers are bald, but it really emphasizes it. When gunpowder was added into the game all the way back in in-dev version 0.31, this version didn't have a 1 in front of it. It had a 0. It was originally called sulfur, and on top of having an entirely different name, every mob in the game at the time was capable of dropping sulfur, but obviously only creepers drop gunpowder today. But also witches and ghast can also drop gunpowder. The crafting table is one of the most iconic items in the entire game. I mean, it is the block that allows us to actually play the game and create insane stuff. But Mojang almost made a dire mistake back in the day while naming this block. Originally, it was named the workbench, which in my opinion would have been an awful name, especially because the game is literally called Minecraft. So the crafting table makes so much sense. So the switch up from workbench to crafting table was such an upgrade and kind of brought the entire game together. The ender chest allows players to privately store an entire chest worth of items, and nobody else can access this chest and see or steal your items, which I thought was the coolest thing ever when it was introduced in the game. Now that we have shulker boxes, I feel like it kind of ruined the specialness of an ender chest. However, this wasn't always the case for ender chests. Previously, Essentially, the way ender chests would function is that they would serve more of a community chest, meaning if you put a stack of diamonds in the ender chest and your friend opened a different ender chest across the world, your friend would actually be able to steal your stack of diamonds. But I really like the private aspect of this feature. If you ever wanted a blast from the past and revisit the old Minecraft textures, you can easily access this by going into the resource packs tab of the game and selecting the programmer art resource pack. This resource pack is designed to hold all the original textures, including the old ugly netherrack, which I think looks more Minecrafty because it just reminds me of the old days. It brings back all the old ore textures like diamond and gold and redstone and so many other blocks that have been redesigned across years of the game. Some people consider anvils to have a very expensive crafting recipe, needing 3 blocks of iron at the top and 4 nuggets at the bottom for a total of 31 iron ingots in total. But when anvil was first added to the game, the crafting recipe was even more expensive, requiring 6 iron blocks and 1 ingot in the middle for a grand total of 55 iron ingots. That is almost an entire stack just to make one anvil that breaks on you. So it's really nice that Minecraft changed the recipe. The enchantment table was originally set to not even require obsidian to craft. In fact, the enchantment table was originally going to require cobblestone instead of obsidian, which kind of looks like this, almost like a decked out piston with diamond corners. After a little bit, Minecraft added a nice red cloth on top of it to make the table look more rich. And then Mojang decided cobblestone wasn't good enough for such an impactful item in the game, so they switched out cobblestone with obsidian, making it look like how it is today. Instead of staying close to a creeper waiting for it to explode, you can instantly light a creeper with a flint and steel, which guarantees it to blow up right in front of you, which means you can drive by these creepers, light them up with a flint and steel, and run past them without any worries in the world. We all know gravel and sand falls down due to gravity in Minecraft, and also lanterns require to be placed on a solid block, either on the ground or on a ceiling. But if you hang a lantern from a solid block and super quickly replace that block with gravel before the lantern pops, you can get a super illegal floating gravel and lantern combination, which explodes if you destroy either block. This combo kind of defies gravity in both ways. Minecraft has one of the most iconic logos of all time, especially involving a little creeper face within the A of the craft. But we almost completely missed out on having this beautiful logo during the creation of the Minecraft logo. These were some of the original ideas, some of them just being a flat pixelated text, while some other designs gave off the vibe of a flash game you would play on the school computer. Even this white, blue, and green logo was considered, which is honestly not the worst looking logo, but it looks kind of like a kid's game. Well, I guess it is a kid's game, but the logo today is unbeatable. It is so iconic and it just looks like Minecraft. Placing a block of TNT at the height limit of Y level 320 actually won't allow the TNT to explode and break any blocks at all. This is because since blocks aren't allowed to be placed above this limit, when we use a dispenser to pop a TNT at technically level 321, the TNT block basically doesn't exist anymore, therefore exploding into nothing. This same feature also applies to creepers who magically end up at the height limit. Applying a name tag to either a giant slime or a giant magma cube will cause all of its smaller slimes to have the same original name tag applied to them as well, meaning we can get a bunch of slimes with the same name only using one name tag. So it's kind of like a duplication glitch. If you name it cookie, you can get 9 more cookies popping out of it. You should always use regular clear windows in your house if you're based up inside of a snowy biome, because when it snows in Minecraft, you can actually see the snow falling from the sky if you decide to use tinted glass. Snowfall is completely invisible through tinted glass and can only be seen through regular old glass. This also applies to regular rain as well, and this will make your base feel a lot cooler and immersive because you can actually see snow. Similar to the end dragon head found at the end city ship, the piglin head has a secret special animation when powered by a redstone current. When you power the head, the ears flop around and the piglin kind of just looks like a dumb, I mean a really cute boy. Silk Touch allows players to pick up most blocks that are usually deemed unobtainable, like grass blocks or diamond ores. But what Silk Touch refuses to work on is suspicious sand and gravel. No matter how hard you try, these blocks are impossible to obtain in survival mode, even when you're trying to use Silk Touch, so you can never have a naturally spawned suspicious sand or gravel ever. Riding a camel allows you to completely avoid damage from a horde of zombies due to being elevated off the ground, because zombies are short and they cannot reach you. So if you're getting really sick and tired of zombie hordes, you should try getting yourself a camel from a desert village to make your life a lot easier. If you try to spawn a wither in a snow biome, they will never be able to spawn. This is because the small layer of snow on the ground intervenes with the soul sand blocks that connect to the wither skeleton skulls. So you can technically spawn spawn a wither in a snowy biome, but the structure must be elevated off the ground so no blocks are in the way. I can't believe even a speck of snow can stop the wither from spawning. Aren't you supposed to be a boss? If you're falling to your death but manage to magically land on a totem, the totem will pop instantly, allowing you to survive the fall. Just be sure not to miss the totem on the ground upon landing. Otherwise, you're gonna be dead and part of the ground. Honestly, this is kind of a cool trick. Should I try this in my hardcore world, or is it not worth the risk? Subscribe if you think I should. Trapping a villager and putting a dispenser filled with a pumpkin right next to the villager's head will allow the villager to actually wear the pumpkin. So if you ever wanted your villagers to be protected from Endermen, or if you want to give them a Halloween costume, or if they're just extremely ugly and you don't want to see their big fat nose, you should try this. I might need to try for my real life face, to be honest. People usually give me weird looks when I'm in public. The beacon is a super exotic and monumental block in the game, but as special as it is, you can mine a beacon only using your fists, which is kind of crazy. There is literally obsidian and diamonds inside of it. You don't need a special tool to pick it back up, and what makes it even crazier, mining a beacon with your fist is the same exact speed with mining it with a pickaxe. Like, bruh, how does that even make any sense? Did you know mobs are completely unable to walk over rails? So if you surround yourself in a small circle using rails, it's kind of like making an invisible barrier against the mobs. Just one little particle of a rail stops them from walking over. That's how stupid zombies are. Skeletons, on the other hand, well, obviously they can shoot you, and creepers can blow you up, but zombies, on the other hand, cannot walk over the rails. But what idiots. Obviously, when you milk a cow, you can get milk. You can also milk a mushroom cow for mushroom soup. But another source of milk that you probably didn't know of is actually getting it from goats. There is no difference between milk from a cow or a goat, even though one is coming from LeBron James himself. I would assume it would be better, but in Minecraft, it isn't. So if you ever need milk and there's no cows around, just head to LeBron James and go touch his udders. Low-key my dream. If you ever wanted to just stare into the soul of an Enderman's eyes without the Enderman getting mad at you, you can simply put some glass between you and the Enderman. Endermen are actually too dumb to see you through glass, which is like the opposite of wearing glasses. They actually get more blind. So it's kind of a perfect way to get some intimate eye contact with Endermen without pissing them off. A super unique way to light TNT is by using a fishing rod that has went through lava. So instead of using a boring flint and steel or redstone torch to light your next piece of TNT, try using a fishing rod and it'll impress all of your friends, increasing your aura. It's kind of overkill though, but hey, you can fish fire now. If you use a spawn egg and spawn in cats near a witch hut in the swamp, every single cat will be a black cat. Obviously, because witches love black cats and they're deemed as bad luck. So when I got my cat Cookie, which is just a full black cat, my mom really didn't like him, but now she kind of loves him because he's so cute. Walking on campfires usually inflicts a little bit of damage, but if you're smart enough to equip some Frostwalker boots before taking the walk, you won't take any damage at all. Now you can freely walk on campfires without having burning, smelling, smoking feet. Even though that's my favorite scent to smell, I just love some crusty old feet particles. If an ocelot sniffs out a chicken nearby, the ocelot will go into hunting mode, slowly approaching the chicken and of course eventually attacking it and killing it. This mechanic only applies to regular ocelots in the wild, but if you tame one, it will not attack your chickens. We all know the beacon beam gets blocked by solid blocks but can flow through glass. You can also change the color of the beacon using colored glass, but one solid block that beacons can go through is bedrock, believe it or not. So if you end up in a situation where you need a beacon to shine through bedrock blocks, you know the beacon will work, even though this is probably impossible unless you somehow build the beacon beneath the world, which would be kind of a cool challenge. Leather horse armor is a rather new addition to the game, and it might have gone over some of your heads that you can of course dye the horse armor any color you like, allowing you to give your horse that extra drip he needs to find another horse to get on with, so you can make some baby horses. Giving a fox with a sword with a fire aspect enchantment will actually allow the fox to light mobs on fire when they attack them, dropping cooked meat when you kill the animals like a chicken, which gives you an automatic deep fryer for KFC chicken. If a copper rod gets struck by lightning while connected to redstone, it actually generates a redstone current, setting electrical natural power into redstone, and it will turn on whatever the lightning rod was connected to. Levers can be either activated by players, or if you want to be more advanced, you can throw a wind charge at the lever and it will actually turn it on or off, making some pretty cool contraptions with wind charges. If you Google the word Minecraft, there is a little grass block button at the bottom of the screen, which changes your mouse into Steve's arms, allowing you to break blocks on the screen. You can even obtain and upgrade the pickaxe by hitting blocks such as stone or iron ores. And when you want to leave, a creeper actually spawns in front of you, exploding as you exit the page when you return back to Google. So if you're ever too poor to buy Minecraft, just play on the browser. Placing certain kinds of blocks underneath a note block allows the note block to create vastly different noises. Here's the list for different types of sounds. Wood blocks create string bass. Glass creates clicks and sticks. Sand creates the snare drum. Clay is for the flute. Packed ice creates chimes. Wool allows for a guitar. Dirt creates piano keys. Hay bales create a banjo. Emerald blocks create 8-bit sounds. Soul sand creates a cowbell. A glowstone creates an electric piano. Gold blocks is for bells. Bones and iron blocks create xylophones. And finally, stone blocks create the bass drum. I honestly did not even know that before I read that. Fortune obviously applies to all ores such as iron, diamonds, and gold, giving you more than you mine. But most people aren't aware that fortune also applies when collecting amethyst shards, allowing you to collect significantly more shards in geodes. So you can craft yourself the infinitely useful spyglass, something every player uses. That was sarcasm, by the way. Snow layers can be placed on every single solid block in the game, except for regular ice and packed ice. However, if you want to put snow on blue ice, that's perfectly acceptable according to Minecraft laws. But I feel like you can't place snow on other ice blocks because they are labeled as transparent, but who knows. Did you know honey blocks are a little smaller than regular blocks? Because of this feature, you can shoot an arrow through the side of a honey block, even when it's placed against a full block, making kind of a cool headshot glitch secret shooter angle. The witch has a special animation while drinking a potion. They usually drink a potion to regain health. The witch will lift up his nose to drink the potion, but just imagine having a nose so big and humongous, you need to use magic to lift it up just so you can drink something. Shout out to everybody who has a giant nose. Do you ever struggle with your water blocks freezing because you have the bright idea to create a farm inside of a snowy biome? Well, you can try putting some waterlogged leaves into your farm. The water will still flow into your soil and remain damp so farms can grow, but it will never freeze and turn into ice because it's in leaves. That is something I honestly need to do in my farms. And when the silverfish stops targeting you, the silverfish will crawl around and look for a block to crawl inside and hide, turning it into an infested block. So when you return from that area, the silverfish will pop right back out and go for round 2. Literally the most annoying mob in the game. And giving allies a block to hold also gives them a superpower, invincibility. You are completely unable to inflict damage to an ally that is currently under your ownership. And on top of that, not being able to hit from swords or axes. Allies also become immune to explosions while holding blocks for you, so that's a pretty cool fact. Hoglins cannot fit into boats because they are humongous, but a little trick to get around this is just by putting a baby hoglin inside of a boat. The baby hoglins will fit inside with no problems at all, and eventually they will grow to a full-size hoglin and remain seated inside until you decide it's time for freedom again, but obviously I would never let them free. Look how silly a hoglin looks inside of a boat. Bro needs to lose some weight. Taking a close look at the fisherman villager, you might notice something you recognize. At the bottom, you can see the texture of the original fish before it was replaced by the more diverse fish such as cod, salmon, and pufferfish. Look closely at the texture of the torch right next to the texture of the lever. Do you notice anything? Well, the torch and the lever use the same exact bottom half texture, literally down to the darker pixels at the bottom. The only difference is the 4 pixels at the top, the orange for the torch and the gray for the lever. These Minecraft artists are getting lazy. The sea lantern is one of the most underrated blocks in the game, and not just because of how it looks, but the block itself is literally animated. If you look closely, you can see a little swirl animation happening in the center of the block. It can be hard to see, so make sure you turn up your brightness all the way. A great way to have fun with a fish on land is to put it inside of a glass tube with a slant block on the bottom. The fish flopping around will cause it to start jumping super high with the help of the slant block, and in some cases jumping nearly 20 blocks off the ground into the air. They literally become Michael Jordan. If you're traveling the End Islands using Ender Pearls looking for an End City, but you're still a noob at throwing pearls properly, try this. Consider bringing some snowballs with you. Snowball throws exactly the same as an Ender Pearl, so if you're not confident in your throw and you might hit the edge of the island and fall into the void and lose everything, just throw a snowball first and see exactly where it lands. Then throw your pearl and it'll go the same exact spot, so you'll be safe. And then you won't lose hundreds of hours of work playing Minecraft. Originally, the red bed was the only bed available in the game. Just by using planks and white wool, it will make a red bed. But now the bed is the item in the game with the most possible unique crafting recipes, because you can use any 3 colors of planks, along with 16 different wool color options. That means there are 21,296 unique bed crafting combinations in Minecraft. Not all water is safe to land in Minecraft. A full water source block will completely break your fall, even landing on the smallest sliver or corner of the water. But if you decide to try and land inside of a cauldron with water, even though it's filled with water, your fall will not be broken and you'll probably end up dying from fall damage. So don't try that at home. The original texture for slimes did not have the translucent jelly look that we all know today. At first, slimes had a completely solid, opaque texture, and that was only in the game for 5 days, until it was forever changed to a transparent texture on the 28th of July in 2010. And making slimes transparent was definitely a good choice because the opaque slime just looks so cursed. Debug mode is a hidden type of Minecraft world generation that can only be found if you hold down the Alt key while pressing the world type button. It will then reveal the secret debug option. The debug world showcases literally every single type of block and different states they can be in, such as all the types of redstone, open and closed fences, and even blocks that you would only normally be able to see if they were connected to another block, like edges of glass panes. The debug world also showcases a lot of cursed blocks, like only the top and bottom of the doors and singular portal blocks. Even though the flint and steel requires a piece of flint and iron to craft, the tool itself was added super early in Minecraft's development, before the flint item was even added to the game. The flint and steel was originally only able to be obtained by mob drops before the crafting recipe was eventually added. And also, the flint and steel has seen 3 different textures throughout its existence. Some blocks in Minecraft have super short names, like dirt or stone. But after the Copper Age update was released, we have a new block in the game with the longest name yet. The item in the game with the longest name is now the Waxed Weather Copper Golem statue. Like bro, come on. I'm reading an essay. That one item has like 5 different elements all built into one single item. Minecraft is getting advanced. The regular orange fire will deal half a heart of damage every single tick. And while soul fire, the blue fire that spawns from lighting up soul sand or soul soil, does double the damage of regular fire, causing a whole heart of damage every tick. The same mechanic applies to campfires and soul campfires. So keep this in mind when you're making mob grinders or trying to trap your friend in traps. Soul fire will do more damage than regular fire. The Wooden Mansion has the chance to spawn with many different types of rooms. But one of the rarest rooms is called the lava room, which is a glass tube filled with lava, surrounded by obsidian, and if you clear up the lava inside, you will be rewarded with a whole diamond block to keep. Just make sure to clear all of the lava so you don't burn the diamond block when you're mining it. Mining a melon block with a Fortune 3 tool allows the melon block to produce up to 9 melon slices, which is an unfortunate hard cap, because if the melon block managed to drop more than 9, you can just craft the slices into melon blocks and repeat the process of breaking them, pretty much creating infinite watermelons. But sadly, Mojang thought of this and blocked it from happening. Imagine having an infinite watermelon generation farm. That would be pretty cool. Before it was officially named as Deep Slate, it was known as Grimestone, which honestly sounds like a better name than Deep Slate. Grimestone sounds like a real block you would find in a deep dark cave, exploring the depths and risking your life, while Deep Slate is just super boring and has no aura. It kind of makes me want to throw up. All types of wood and planks are able to be put into a furnace and used as smelting fuel, except for the woods found in the nether. Warped and crimson wood is actually completely immune to burning and fire, and making it also unable to be used in smelting. So if you plan on making a long trip in the nether, don't forget to bring yourself coal to smelt items. If you type the phrase excited ZE or excited Z inside of the crafting recipe on the search bar, the entire language of the game turns into pirate talk, renaming every single block in the game into more pirate fitting themes. Even the option tab is completely changed. I have no idea why, but it does that, so the more you know. Placing mob heads on top of a note block creates the sound of the mob itself. This works on zombie heads, creepers, piglins, skeletons, and even the ender dragon head, allowing you to remember the good old days of defeating the ender dragon for the first time. Or if you just want to simply scare your friends with a creeper hiss, this is your solution. The knockback 2 enchantment obviously makes it so when you hit a mob, it gets sent back way further than usual. But something super obscure is hitting a polar bear, only when it's in water with a knockback 2 sword. For some reason, it causes the polar bear to go way further than a usual mob when it's sitting in water. Chickens obviously walk around and drop eggs in Minecraft, but did you know there are infertile chickens? Let me explain. In the rare case you find a chicken jockey and manage to kill the baby zombie without killing the chicken will forever be unable to lay eggs, making it infertile. So the chickens will always be excluded from population popping out babies. If you were to fill up your entire inventory of shulker boxes and all of the shulker boxes are filled with stacks of 64, your inventory can hold 64,000 items in total. But this number gets even crazier if you fill up every single shulker box with either gold or iron blocks, because with these blocks you can turn them into ingots and then turn them into nuggets, allowing players to hold over 5 million items in their inventory, which is kind of like a cheat code. Riding a pig with a saddle and guiding it with a carrot is kind of a forgotten feature that nobody does anymore. But if you ever had to go through a 1 block tall gap and you're absolutely sick of crawling, you can actually ride a pig through that gap. You just have to suffer through having no vision and potentially dying of suffocation. So I don't know if it's worth it, but the blue axolotl is the rarest variant of the axolotl, not even being able to spawn in the world naturally. The blue axolotl can only be brought to life by breeding, having around a 1 in 1,200 chance to pop out as a baby. However, most people don't know the rumor that the blue axolotl is a reference to a Pokemon. Doesn't he kind of look like Mudkip? I don't know, maybe I'm making this up. They just look so similar. The minecart with a furnace is easily one of the most useless blocks in the game. So useless to the point when Bedrock Edition of the game was released, the developer literally decided to not even add it. It's gone to the point where Mojang has entertained the idea of completely removing the furnace with a minecart from Java as well, but they probably realized that this would break some classic builds, so they didn't remove it. When coarse dirt was first added back in version 1.7.2, it was originally given the name grassless dirt, which actually explains the use of the block much better, because it's just a piece of dirt that can't grow on grass. But shortly after it was added to the game, it was renamed to coarse dirt, which I honestly do not understand what it means, and then slightly retextured to look different from regular dirt. Mud blocks, while they appear like a full solid block, still allow items to soak through them and get stuck inside of a hopper, which means if you're making a sugarcane farm, it's easily the most efficient block to use, because now your sugarcane can get stuck on the dirt or sand and it'll go right through the mud into like a hopper. Seed pickles are actually capable of producing light, and the more pickles you add, the more amount of light is produced, which means a stack of 4 seed pickles actually emit more light, a light level of 15 to be exact, versus a normal torch which produces a light level of 14, which is kind of crazy. Forget traveling through the ocean using a regular boring boat. You should try attaching a lead to a dolphin so you can keep the dolphin grace effect. And if you want to travel even faster than that, equip some depth strider boots to maximize your speed. Now you'll be traveling the depths of the ocean nearly 40 blocks a second, which is much faster than a boring boat or swimming. Farming ender pearls in the game sucks. It's so hard, especially if you don't have the proper armor to fight endermen, because they do so much damage. But a little tip to kill endermen is to trap them inside of boats, because once they are trapped, they literally cannot teleport out, which will allow you to freely farm the endermen and collect their balls, and won't put you in risk of dying unless you walk too close. Copper has an absolute ton of obtainable and craftable items after the newest Copper Age update, making it one of the most versatile items in the game now, having an entire 131 items involving copper, including ingots, blocks, chests, statues, as well as torches and trial chamber keys. Axolotls look like peaceful and cuddly creatures to us, but not to any other fish in the game. If you put fishes in the same jar as an axolotl, it will literally create chaos and war, because the axolotl will start attacking and killing any fish on sight. And this actually relates to real life, because axolotls will prey on fishes like tadpoles in the real world and eat them. Axolotls will also attack and kill any squids. Yeah, these axolotls are on a mission to kill everything, even though they look super cute. If you take a closer look at chiseled red sandstone, you will notice there is a wither symbol built into the block. And while rather chiseled sandstone has a creeper face built into it, which was also one of my favorite blocks to build as a kid, the wither symbol on the block was suggested by a random Reddit user named Uleopuridodon. That is a very long, hard name to remember, which is confirmed since Dinnerbone, one of Mojang's developers, responded to a comment where the user claimed to come up with the idea, leaving him a heart emoji. Bees were a pretty cool addition to the game, giving us honeycombs, honey blocks, and adding so much more life to the game. But we were almost given some absolutely cursed looking bee skins. You probably didn't know the Minecraft bee went through 12 different known design concepts, and some of these designs are honestly super cute. I really like this one. The first one is like, he just looks like he flies mindlessly. The other designs look more like bees and they look kind of scary. Some of them look like an ugly cow. I don't know who designed that, but it looks horrible. level. It's an actual monstrosity. Like, can you imagine this chasing you around? I might quit Minecraft altogether. But the beast skin today looks alright, but I think this one would have been a lot better. You can easily trap a villager by putting a block of honey underneath them. Honey blocks don't allow villagers to jump, so you can simply surround the villager with a few blocks of honey and they'll be locked into place. Just be sure a zombie doesn't eat them. In Minecraft Bedrock Edition, if you have any item enchanted with fire aspect, it can actually be used to light TNT, light candles, and even campfires. This is a feature I really wish they added to Java Edition. It would honestly be such an improvement to quality of life in Minecraft. Instead of carrying around redstone or flint and steel, you can just use fire aspect for anything. In these Minecraft snapshots, there was actually a feature added where after the Ender Dragon was killed, it was able to be resummoned. This was a version where the end crystals wasn't obtainable yet. So instead of using end crystals, the player could build a creeper face out of clay, and this would trigger the dragon to be resummoned. Maybe this was a test to entertain the idea of respawning the Ender Dragon in later versions with end crystals. If you take a name tag and name a Vindicator Johnny, that Vindicator will start attacking every single mob around it, with the exception of other Vindicators, Pillagers, Evokers, and Ghasts. The name Johnny is a reference to the character Jack in Stephen King's movie The Shining. So if you have a friend named Johnny, stay away from him. Dirt slabs were actually a real addition to Minecraft at one point in time. In fact, they were the first ever slabs to be added to the game, but unfortunately they were removed. I don't think we will ever see dirt slabs added back because of how much it would change the entire landscape of the game. Imagine adding dirt slabs around every single dirt block or grass block inside of Minecraft's world. It would completely change how we see and play Minecraft, and that is definitely not something Mojang or even myself are ready for. You've probably seen this screenshot at least once in your life. The classic looking Minecraft with a familiar looking figure in the background. Yes, I'm talking about Herobrine, which you probably didn't even see. But what is super cool about this specific screenshot is that the original seed this screenshot was taken on has actually been found. A Reddit user named Kaminster, who is also known as Andrew555, hunted down the seed and finally was successful finding it back in 2020. The COVID pandemic really had people doing crazy side quests with their time. Changing your Minecraft language to English UK causes an absolute unacceptable change in the game. Usually this beautiful, delicious item is called a cookie, my favorite food ever in the world. But in the UK version, while pretty much every single block has the same name, the cookie is renamed to a biscuit. Like, what is that? This is not a biscuit, it is a cookie. And we need to start a petition to remove the name biscuit from the game because it is just not right.
Crying Obsidian was added in the Nether update, but Crying Obsidian was actually seen in the game's files all the way back in beta 1.3. But instead of looking like this, it looked like this. I can see where the crying in the name comes from now. In beta 1.4, locked chests were added all around the map as an April Fool's update. Upon clicking on these chests, you would just be given a prompt telling you that you need to buy a Steve Co. supply crate key to open the chest, which was obviously a joke. These chests would end up getting removed from the world generation in the next update. I guess we'll never know what was really inside of these chests. Do you think Minecraft brewing is confusing now? Well, it's nothing compared to Minecraft's original brewing system. In beta 1.9 pre-release 2, cauldrons were added to the game and their original use was to brew potions. All you had to do was click a water-filled cauldron with a potion ingredient and then you could retrieve the potion using a glass bottle. Seems pretty easy, right? That is until I tell you there were 30 different potions in the game, all with confusing names. That brewing system was crazy, but not as crazy as time travel being added to Minecraft. In the beta 1.8 pre-release, Mojang added the ability to build a time machine in survival Minecraft. Well, you don't actually need a time machine, you just need to press F6 to go back in time and F7 to go forwards in time. I wonder if Minecraft will ever have a 4D version in the future. In Snapshot 15W14A, another April Fool's update, attacking mobs is completely disabled and the only way to progress is by left-clicking mobs to increase your hearts, which was also known as the love meter. This update added a bunch of mobs that were never seen again, such as the love golem, the pink wither, and even the smiling creeper, which upon exploding actually gives you flowers instead of killing you. None of this was as weird as the way you beat this update though, which is by gaining a certain amount of hearts and then completing a Minecraft themed game of Minesweeper. I think from now on I'll just stick to playing regular Minecraft. Regular Minecraft isn't always so regular though, as the original method of respawning the Ender Dragon was added in Snapshot 15W31A. In this snapshot you could respawn the Ender Dragon simply by building a creeper's face out of clay inside of the end. And no, I'm literally not joking, this one is real. Also in Beta 1.9 pre-release 3, you could locate the stronghold based on these massive glass pillars that came out of the ground, and upon entering the portal room, you might notice something a little different about the end portal. That end portal was not nearly as different as the original Endermen though. When Endermen were first added to the game, they actually had green eyes, and upon attacking them, they would make zombie sounds instead of the sound that they make today. To make things even worse, instead of mining for diamonds, originally you could just farm Endermen to make your diamond tools instead. This is completely overpowered as long as you don't run into the white Enderman. This is a fishing rod, and this is a fishing rod being used in PvP, but did you know that when Minecraft first added the fishing rod, it actually looked like this and was completely useless? The only thing that you could do with it was stack as many of them on top of each other as you wanted. Crazy to see how far this game has come. Food in Minecraft used to be a lot different, as there was no hunger bar, meaning food would be used to instantly heal your hearts instead. When eating food, you didn't even have to wait for the animation to finish, as there was no animation. The food just instantly disappeared like you were Matt Stoney. The one downside to this though was that the food was not stackable. This meant that in order to stay alive while caving, you had to fill half your inventory up with food, allowing you to only have a little bit of space left for collecting ores. This made everything so much slower, especially because you can't sprint in these versions. You might have heard of the Aether mod, which is probably one of Minecraft's most famous mods, but did you know that Notch almost made this mod a reality? In Beta 1.6, a sky dimension was added to the game and could be accessed using mods. Notch said that this dimension could have been a dream world where the player would have a random chance of being teleported to while sleeping in the game. Unfortunately, this dimension was never added to Minecraft, and instead this concept was later turned into the end. Speaking of sleeping in Minecraft used to be really annoying. In older versions of Minecraft, when trying to sleep in an area that was accessible by mobs, the game would wake you up every time a hostile mob was standing near you, even if you were separated by a wall. This made sleeping basically impossible unless you had a nuclear fallout shelter to sleep in. We've talked about some of the things added for April Fool's updates already in this video, but one of the most interesting April Fool's updates was 1.rv-pre1. Kind of a weird update name in itself. In this update, a few items were added, such as the ankle monitor, 3D glasses, and even a smartwatch. They even added a USB charging block, which could be used in the exact same way that a redstone block is used today. Now obviously all of these items were added as a joke, but it would be kind of funny to put somebody on house arrest in your Minecraft world. Everybody knows that leather armor is the most useless armor in the game, but did you know that leather armor isn't even leather armor? In the early versions of Minecraft, leather hadn't been added to the game yet, so players would instead have to craft this armor using wool blocks that you obtained by punching sheep and turning them bald. This armor was eventually replaced with leather armor, but the texture remained the same, meaning the armor you wear today might not be what you think. Speaking of weird armor things, did you know that Minecraft's old armor system actually worked a lot differently? To start off, armor used to absorb all types of damage, including fall damage, meaning you could jump off of a massive mountain and survive wearing full leather armor. But you also might have noticed that I have 10 armor bars wearing leather armor. How is that possible? Well, prior to Beta 1.6, all armor actually provided the same amount of protection, and the amount of armor bars you had was actually reflected by the amount of durability left on your armor. This meant that the only actual difference between leather and diamond armor was how fast it breaks, which in Minecraft Alpha was pretty fast. When thinking of the most iconic Minecraft item, you probably think of diamonds, but what if I told you that diamonds weren't even diamonds when they were first added to Minecraft? When Notch first added diamonds to Minecraft, he decided it would be a good idea to refer to them as emeralds instead of diamonds. Maybe this is why villagers have been after them this whole time. In the early versions of Minecraft, creepers never used to explode. Well, kinda. In the in-dev stages of the game, creepers existed as a hostile mob, but they would just melee attack you instead of explode. Don't let this fool you though, as for some reason they still exploded upon killing them. In Minecraft there are many structures, such as villages, shipwrecks, and even woodland mansions. But there is actually a structure that came before all of these, a structure that no longer exists today. When creating a world in the in-dev versions of Minecraft, you would spawn inside of a starter house that was located in the center of the world. The starter house was made up of wooden planks and stone like this, but in older versions it was just a big mossy cobblestone house. The house was filled to the brim with a bunch of chests, and each chest contained a stack of every item in the game. This seems pretty OP, and we can see why it doesn't exist today. Speaking of structures, when you think of villages, you usually think of villagers. The iconic Minecraft mob, which you can kidnap, take advantage of its self-scamming trades, and even enslave it to create a civilization. But did you know that when villages were first added to the game, there were actually no villagers to go with them? Just an eerie ghost town in the middle of nowhere. nowhere. You've probably milked a cow in Minecraft before, maybe even a mushroom cow if you were looking for some soup, but I bet you've never milked a squid before, and that's because you were only able to milk squids for a short amount of time in beta 1.2 before Mojang later removed this feature. Why could you milk a squid in the first place? That I have no idea. One of the most cursed things in Minecraft is placing water in the nether, which is made completely impossible by having it instantly evaporate upon being placed. This wasn't always the case though, because in earlier versions of Minecraft you could actually place ice in the nether, and then when it melted it would cause water to flow out like normal. You better keep this information out of the hands of the wrong people though, or you might end up with an ocean in the nether. Minecraft's blocks have seen major updates over the years, but there are some things about these blocks that used to be completely different. To start, chests used to take up an entire block, causing you to actually be able to use them as a building block, and it didn't look that bad. Furnaces used to have a stone layer on top instead of the cobblestone that we see today, and climbing ladders used to require only one ladder every 2 blocks instead of a straight line. But did you know that a secret slab used to exist in the game? In the really early versions of Minecraft, Notch added the dirt slab to the game, which was supposed to help make the mountains look more natural. But as you can see, it didn't really work. In this video, we are going to be looking at a bunch of different satisfying experiments that you can do in Minecraft. Starting with a single warden who really wants to kill me, but he can't, so he does this, which is cool and all, but it isn't satisfying. So what will happen if I spawn 100 wardens and have them do the same thing? Oh my god, I'm pretty sure I went so high that it bounced me. And sure, that was satisfying, but not as satisfying as cutting down bamboo in this bamboo-only world, which I actually can't stop doing. And what's even more insane is watching this from above, just like covering the entire world in Skulk, which you can do with the help of a couple million Ravagers and a Skulk Catalyst. And now we wait as the entire world turns into Skulk. Wait, I wonder what would happen if I added even more of these. Okay, I think I broke it. There's a literal Ravager fountain coming from the sky. Oh my god. This is a chest full of random materials, which if placed a bunch of times like this, you can break all the chests and watch all the items fall out, which looks pretty nice. But the best part of this isn't the items falling, it's picking them up, which sounds super satisfying. I could literally do this for hours. Something else you can do is place a bunch of shulkers full of netherite above a lava pool, and then when you break them, this happens. And if you use a command block to place an infinite block like this, and then you use another command block to give yourself a 1 durability pickaxe every tick, you can infinitely break pickaxes, which makes this very satisfying sound. Uh-oh, I think I'm sick. I'm throwing up pickaxes. This is working quicksand in Minecraft, which can be made using this secret formula. First, you place some soul sand on the bottom, then you place some water above, and then you place some cobwebs on top of all that, and after that, you need to just place some sand on top that's ready to be dropped in. And now you can drop the sand and watch it all fall into place, which is pretty satisfying. After that, you have a working quicksand that you can't escape. But that's not the most satisfying part. If you remove the cobwebs like this, and then drop some more sand on the top, you can make this really cool bubbling effect, which looks like it doesn't even belong in the game. This effect can also be used in a square like this, which looks pretty nice, especially when all the sand and gravel breaks at the end. Or you can drop a line of sand and gravel like this, which kind of looks like a worm when it first drops. Another thing I found that looks pretty cool is this concrete powder turning to concrete like this, and I also tried it in a line, which looks pretty nice as well. This is a village that has a massive amount of dripstone above it, which is already kind of cool to look at, and I'm going to be dropping the dripstone on the village using this machine here. Oh my god, I think my PC is going to explode. Hopefully it looks good on replay, because I literally can't see anything. Okay, somehow we actually had a couple of survivors this time, but I'm going to add a layer of anvils, sand, and gravel to drop on the village as well. And now let's spawn Timothy. Hopefully he survives. Okay, first let's drop the anvils. That was much less laggy. Now let's add some sand. It's looking like Bikini Bottom down there. And finally the gravel. Okay, there's no way Timothy survived all that. Oh wait, he's actually right here. Honestly, doing that had me feeling like I was 9 years old again, so let's try some things we all did as kids in Minecraft. First, I'm going to be burning down a forest. Okay, this is taking forever. I guess I have to do it the old-fashioned way. Now that's some good forest burning. What about blowing up a ton of TNT? I think this was a mistake. If you make a box like this, and then place a repeating command block to spawn zombies, you can make an infinitely dying zombie. That's not what I meant to do. What you can actually do is spawn a bunch of zombies inside of the box, and then you can kill them all with a sweeping edge 100 sword, and it's honestly pretty satisfying. I wonder what happens if we make the box even bigger. Okay, that was so much better. Another satisfying way to kill a bunch of mobs is with a piercing crossbow. But this crossbow isn't gonna cut it. It only killed 4 of them. We need a max piercing crossbow. Alright, and let's kill the villagers in 3, 2, 1... Okay, it didn't reach the end, but we'll just pretend it did. What happens if you break these plants that go up to sky limit? It's literally raining twisted vines. Now let's do the cactus. Okay, that one actually looked kind of nice. What about the sugar cane? Whatever this thing is. And finally, bamboo. Bamboo definitely has my favorite sound out of these. But something that might sound better is a massive dripstone hitting the ground. Okay, let's just use this genius redstone timer to make sure we don't miss the sound. And now we fall all the way to the bottom. I like how it just gets faster the more that fall. Apparently if you place a bunch of end crystals inside of each other, it looks really satisfying. But it doesn't seem to be working for me, so I guess we have to use a command block. I think we placed them on the wrong block, but it's definitely working. This thing actually looks so cool. I can't believe this is in Minecraft. Wait, I wonder what happens if we touch it. For this next one, let's build a giant cactus farm. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just watching them pop up all over the place is really satisfying. Another satisfying thing we can do is place skulk sensors in a row like this, and then we can fill all the empty slots up with TNT. And now finally, if we drop an item on it, it makes this really cool pulsing effect. Oh yeah, I forgot it would all blow up. For this next experiment, we are going to need a massive pyramid, so let's build that. Okay, that literally took me almost 30 minutes and I didn't even finish it. But now what we can do is place water in the middle and watch it all flow down the pyramid. Was that worth the 30-minute wait? Probably not. We can also drain all the water as well, but it's definitely not as satisfying as watching it flow down the pyramid. Earlier, we dropped a bunch of anvils on a village, but I wonder what it would look like if we dropped it on a regular world. Okay, it kinda just started. I didn't mean for that to happen. But yeah, that was still pretty cool. Now let's take a break from experiments and check out some of the most satisfying maps in Minecraft. These are 7 colored rings made by Bosca Winks, and when you fly through them one after another, it's actually really cool to look at. Just like this massive spiral made by Amy Oak, which looks especially cool if you fly through it with an elytra like this. This is an island in the shape of a Mobius strip that was also made by Amy Oak, which I honestly have no idea how it works, but it's definitely really satisfying to look at. And another thing that I don't understand is this Penrose triangle made by Alascata, which also looks really cool from far away. Wait, I wonder what will happen if I turn it to sand. These next 3 builds were made by Adamax EP, and these are more like illusions, but they are still really satisfying to look at, especially this one, which will probably make you dizzy if you spin fast enough. If you put a Jeb name tag on a sheep, it makes it rainbow. So I wonder what will happen if I make a big pit and fill it with Jeb sheep. This is pretty normal. I see this every day in survival. Okay, now this is insane. You can barely even tell that there are sheep in the hole. Next, let's create a sand-only world and see what happens. Oh wait, I have to break the block first. There's a short amount of time before it becomes way too laggy. So now let's make it laggier with concrete. This would probably look so cool if it wasn't a slideshow. Next, I decided to make a sapling only world, and watching them grow was actually really satisfying. I can't move on until all the holes are filled. Another experiment similar to this idea is making a drip leaf only world. I honestly had no idea what would happen with this one, but it's probably one of my favorites so far. And the last world I made was a cactus only world, but it didn't really go well, so we'll just move on. If you place 2 slabs like this, and then you push them together with a piston, you can make an illegal slab. So I wonder what it would look like if we copied the build a bunch of times to make a wall of illegal slabs. Honestly, I'm not sure if this is satisfying, but it's definitely pretty cool, and also really laggy. Picking up a ton of XP can also be pretty satisfying. Okay, it just won't stop. It's been doing this for like 5 minutes. And for the last experiment, I decided to put some bees in a nest. A lot of bees. Okay, if we set it to day, they should all come out at the same time. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't even know if that was satisfying. It's kind of unsettling, actually. Punching a pufferfish in Bedrock makes it puff up, but in Java it does nothing. Punching a pufferfish should really make your hand puff up because of the swelling. It would hurt. In Java, if you fall in the void in creative mode, you die. Bro really died in creative mode. But in Bedrock, if you fall in the void, you can just walk on the void. This is just solid ground. You can also get this warning message for building down here in Bedrock. Java doesn't need to warn you, though. It expects you to know this. In Bedrock, dying the water water in cauldrons is an option, and it's what you use to dye leather armor, instead of crafting dyed leather armor like you do in Java. If you want to dye your Enderman, unfortunately it will just teleport away on Bedrock, but dyeing your Enderman on Java would be possible if you could put dye in cauldrons. But do not worry, cause while Bedrock doesn't allow you to dye Enderman, you can dye shulkers in Bedrock. Kinda the same concept as giving your dog a tattoo. You can just permanently change the color of a shulker while it's still alive. Also, if you play Bedrock and you really hate shulkers, you can just shove a chest inside of a shulker using a piston. Now you are just using your dyed shulker as a decoration on top of your chest. Java Edition unfortunately cares about shulkers, and you have to find different ways to harm them instead. You might have noticed I placed a lever on the side of a piston. You can't do this on Java without breaking it off. But Java might have destructible levers, but you can't destroy rails on Java. Not like that. You can't destroy rails with water on Java, but you can on Bedrock. Dogs in Bedrock can eat fish, but dogs on Java hate fish and only eat the finest of cuisine. And you are actually able to damage your vision by looking at the sun in Bedrock. This is why eye tests are available in Bedrock, and you can even get glasses for your player. Now I'm gonna show you some features that are only in Bedrock, but will probably be added to Java soon. In Bedrock, leaves change color when it's snowing. In Bedrock, you can find vines growing randomly on any type of tree. Water has different colors in Bedrock depending on the biome you are in. You can even get red water in the Nether, the most useful thing I've seen so far. And that's it. That's the only things from my list that I can see getting added to Java. In Java Edition, if you blow a mob up that can drop a head with a charged creeper, it will drop the head 100% of the time. But this only works with one mob at a time, but on Bedrock you can blow up multiple mobs and get all of their heads at once. If you ever wanted to ride a boat through a wall, unfortunately that's not going to happen on Java Edition, but you can place some slabs at the bottom of a wall like this, and then boat through it just fine on Bedrock. In Bedrock, you can give items to armor stands. Originally, I thought you could do this on Java. I was disappointed to find out that you can't. And you can also name an armor stand Dinner Bone to turn it upside down on Bedrock. I'm starting to think Bedrock may actually be better, which is why I will showcase the difference between bridging on Bedrock and Java. This has just never made any sense to me how this is possible on Bedrock. It feels like something out of a Roblox game. In Bedrock, you can ride a skeleton horse without a saddle. You can't even ride a skeleton horse at all on Java. I really thought you could. There is still a Farlands in Bedrock 17 million blocks out. It works a little differently than the Java Farlands that was removed. This one is even more glitchy. Bedrock has a zoom out animation when you die, while on Java you just die. There's no animation. And on Bedrock, a baby villager's head is massive. Baby villagers must be a lot dumber on Java. The wither on Bedrock is actually a lot more powerful than it is on Java. That is because the Bedrock wither has double the HP, and it glows white when it's spawned. The white doesn't make it any more OP. If you ever wanted to waterboard a phantom, you will be sad to find out that phantoms don't take water damage on Java. But if you play Bedrock, I have good news. Phantoms can actually drown on Bedrock. You can also light yourself on fire in Bedrock, and then use it to light candles and campfires with your body. Java doesn't have this option though. And Java also doesn't have the option to light these things using a fire aspect book like Bedrock does. But something Java does have that Bedrock doesn't is furnace minecarts. Yeah, this item just doesn't exist on Bedrock. If you get a regular minecart on Bedrock and put an iron golem in it, you can see that it works. But on Java, an iron golem is a little too big for a minecart. You also gotta make sure that your iron golem doesn't get trapped inside of the rails, as mobs on Java do not walk over rails. Java really just has superior rails, I guess. These things can block off mobs and restrict water. Bedrock has the superior leads though, as you can attach leads to entities like boats, which isn't a thing on Java. And they also just look super cool compared to the ones on Java. Leads can also be attached to walls on Bedrock, but this only works on fences in Java. And you may also notice that the wall item itself looks different on Bedrock than it does on Java. This is because... well, I don't know why it's like this actually. You can also look at iron bars on Bedrock and notice that they are a lot more symmetrical than they are on Java. And bubble columns look completely different between the two editions as well. I'm gonna say that Java wins this one. The bubble column looks way more natural. In Java, if you spawn a wandering trader spawns. But in Bedrock, if you spawn a wandering trader, it comes with 2 llamas at no extra cost. Bedrock always has the best deals. That is until you find out that carving a pumpkin on Bedrock only only gives 1 seed, but on Java it gives 4. And if you've ever seen the inside of a pumpkin in real life, neither of these make any sense. I swear those things have infinite seeds. When you pull a crossbow back on Bedrock in first person, you can see part of your hand. On Java you cannot see any of your hand, which means you don't have hands on Java. In Bedrock you can place snow underneath flowers, and you can use bone meal on flowers to make them spread. On Java, neither of these things are possible. But what's possible on Java is climbing up a trapdoor ladder, and on Bedrock it appears you can't even place ladders on trapdoors. I've always hated running over soul sand without blocks. There's no reason for it to be this slow. But on Bedrock, if you sprint jump over soul sand, it just isn't slow. And I think this has something to do with the absolutely amazing running animation on Bedrock. Who doesn't run like this in real life? In Bedrock, blocks that emit light glow on your hotbar. In Java, they don't. In Bedrock, when you have view bobbing on, you get to see a lot of bobbing. Java lets you view less bobbing, but there's still bobbing. Shift-clicking blocks in your inventory has an animation on Bedrock. There is no animation for this on Java. In Bedrock, scaffolding looks different in your inventory than it does on Java, and holding an item in Bedrock is slightly angled, but in Java it's perfectly straight. You might be inclined to go for a swim while wearing an elytra, and unfortunately in Bedrock, your elytra will deactivate if you go into water. But on Java, it actually remains activated, for whatever reason. Now that you're underwater though, you can grow some coral with bone meal, but only in a warm ocean on Java, although this works in every biome on Bedrock. After that, you can steal some aquatic mobs and experiment on them by giving them water breathing. In Bedrock, they will survive on land with water breathing, and on Java, they will do the opposite of that. You might have also bucketed an axolotl while you were in the water, and this is what the name of your axolotl will look like on Java, and this is what the name looks like on Bedrock. They got bro's whole government name, social security number, address. If you prefer setting mobs on fire rather than suffocating them, mobs turn orange and red while on fire in Bedrock, but they only blink red in Java. You can also place a bunch of mobs in a small area in Java to start killing them, but on Bedrock they just won't die. You can create a cannon with mobs on Bedrock though, so they both have their positives and negatives. Similar to the detailed axolotl bucket, switching to an enchanted item on Bedrock will actually show you all the enchantments. On Java, however, you actually have to hover over it in your inventory to see what enchantments they have. In Bedrock, books display 2 pages at a time instead of just 1 on Java Edition, and if you write anything offensive in your book on Bedrock, it will become censored. This can also happen on signs, renaming items, pretty much everything where you can type. On Java, you can type freely though. In Java Edition, if you cover up your bed with a bunch of blocks, the bed will become obstructed and it will just respawn you at the world's spawn point. But in Bedrock, you can encase your bed in an indestructible vault, and you will still respawn within the area of your bed. If you name a big slime in Java Edition and then kill it, the slimes that it splits into will still have the same name. On Bedrock, if you do this, the smaller slimes do not carry over the name. It just becomes forgotten. In Bedrock, animals like horses slowly grow up into an adult, but on Java, the change just happens instantly. You can then ride your horse on Java, and your hunger bar and XP bar get replaced with the horse's health and jump bar, but on Bedrock, the XP bar only gets replaced when you are jumping. Otherwise, you can still see how much XP you have. In Bedrock, hearts move down when you have regeneration, and on Java, for some reason, it's the opposite. Hearts move up. You also can't eat food in peaceful mode when your hunger bar is full on Java, but for some reason, you are able to eat as much food as you want in peaceful mode on Bedrock. In Bedrock, having a parrot on your shoulder will prevent you from going through a nether portal, but in Java, the parrot will actually go through to the nether with you. Oh, whoops. Looks like I forgot something in the overworld. If you want to place a torch on top of a honey block, you cannot do this on Java, but it is possible to do this in Bedrock. Useful information for bees. And the new vibrant visuals is actually available on Bedrock, but not on Java. It will be available on Java soon, though. But the difference here is that Bedrock seems to get everything first before Java gets it. First off, Steve is calling these speedy boots. Yeah, speedy boots are not real, unless it's soul speed boots, but they still do not grow wings out the sides. This sword is clearly not a wooden sword. It's supposed to be because this wall has all the swords in order, but you can see a reflection, so this just can't be a regular wooden sword. Steve added some kind of polish on top of it. I don't think I have to explain that this isn't possible in Minecraft. And again, I'm talking about Java, not the Bedrock add-on. There's no nunchuckets in Minecraft. If the terrain seen in the trailer is supposed to be real terrain, generation like this is unfortunately not possible. There would be stone underneath some of the dirt. But I want to believe that Steve built the entire mountain, because Steve is just built like that. One thing he couldn't have built in vanilla Minecraft is windmills that can actually move. This would only be possible in the create mod, or maybe even Steve's own custom mod. The possibility that Steve makes his own mods has not actually been explored. This is a super tall iron golem. It's way taller than a regular iron golem is. And in this scene, Steve is seen pouring lava on top of a chicken to make cooked chicken. This is accurate as long as you move the lava in time. But a KFC in a Minecraft village is not. I know that Steve built it. In this part of the trailer, Henry discovers mining blocks. And not only is the block too small, making it this small still does not explain how a player can carry so many blocks in their inventory at all. Like, that bag is not carrying this many blocks. Also in this scene, you can see that Henry got more than one log from the logs he broke, as he builds an entire, what I will call a house, out of just 2 logs. And in Minecraft, it is not possible to get more than 1 log from breaking a log. Skeletons shoot flaming arrows in the Minecraft movie. Skeletons do not shoot flaming arrows unless they have a flame bow, or if you give a wither skeleton a bow. So I guess all these skeletons got super lucky, or they learned how to enchant. The MLG water bucket is seen in the movie as well, and while it's cool that they included this in the Minecraft movie, Steve must be playing beta 1.9 pre-release 4, as he's able to place water on top of water. That's not even counting the massive spread this bucket just instantly placed. This baby piglin draws a picture and shows it to this big piglin. Baby piglins cannot draw pictures in Minecraft. When the piglin is killed, it also turns into a pork chop. You can't do that in Minecraft either. This piglin here is also not part of Minecraft Java Edition, but it's in Minecraft Legends, so it is technically still Minecraft. In this part of the movie, we can see piglins being carried by ghasts on some sort of gassed hot air balloon. I'm gonna give this to Mojang, as we will be able to ride gas soon, so it's close enough to being real. There's no drum block in Minecraft, though. Piglins surviving more than 20 seconds in the overworld is also not real. All these piglins should turn into zombie piglins. They also shouldn't be attacking innocent villagers. But out of all the piglin inaccuracies, this is the worst one. Piglins are wearing iron armor. They are literally known for loving gold. They even respect a little bit of gold on a player, unless they're a brute, and they are wearing iron armor in the movie. Somehow in this scene, when they are spawning all the iron golems, the Iron Golem King is seen in the middle of the golems, towering over all of them. There is no Iron Golem King in Minecraft, unfortunately. Yes, this is a chicken jockey, but zombies don't come out of boxes in Minecraft. You'd have to use a dispenser. And no, zombies don't just fall on top of chickens to make a jockey. I also don't think illagers can go without attacking players. But I'll give it to them. Illagers could have an underground fight club. Seems real. This terrain is not Minecraft terrain, but it is pretty cool. I wish Minecraft looked like this. In this scene, Jack Black is building a dirt house. The dirt house is a staple in Minecraft, and I'm going to actually say that this is accurate to Minecraft. Everyone has built a dirt house before, but this pink house, on the other hand, it's got completely messed up portions. Bro is building on a completely different grid than regular Minecraft. He also summoned the pink house out of thin air, so Steve is using cheats in the Minecraft movie, because there's no way to do this without commands. Piston door. There's about a 50% chance that that's an actual line said by Jack Black in the movie. Anyways, a secret piston door is cool to feature in the movie, but making sure the pistons are facing the right way really isn't something that should be looked over. This is an illegal piston door. Another thing that Steve does here that is illegal is he uses a torch for light without placing it down. But I'm gonna give it to them again, because you could argue that the movie is running a shader pack. The most realistic shader pack ever created. In the Minecraft movie, wolves howl at the moon while the moon is moving sideways. In Minecraft, the moon doesn't move sideways, and wolves don't howl at the moon. I honestly couldn't tell you what's happening in this scene. It looks like the piglins are trying to summon a portal to the real world. I'm going to say that this is not in Minecraft right now. Maybe the piglins will be able to make a portal through to the real world soon. In Minecraft, an enchantment table looks like this. In the Minecraft movie, this might be an enchantment table, or it's just a chest with red in it. You could argue that the potato launcher is in Minecraft because it's in the Bedrock add-on, but again, this video is about Java. Java. Anyways, this crafting recipe is almost definitely not how you make a potato launcher. There's an eraser, paperclip, other stuff, all things that aren't in Minecraft. In this scene, Garrett gets smacked by a piglin, and I want to say that piglins can't hit you with their fist in Minecraft, but I honestly don't know if this is true. Will piglins still hit you if they don't have a weapon? I'm not finding out, so I don't know. These pandas and Steve are found emoting in this part of the trailer. Both pandas and Steve do not know these specific emotes. Pandas do know a couple emotes though, so this is like 50% accurate. We've seen a couple crafting scenes so far, and this one is fine. It's just a diamond sword. But this is not in Minecraft. At the beginning of this trailer, we see a baby panda pop up between these two adult pandas. This is actually accurate Minecraft breeding. We got the heart particles, the pandas are eating bamboo, and it's good that they made this scene Minecraft accurate, cause well yeah. In this scene, Steve, Garrett, and Henry are stuck at the edge of a cliff, and they have a ton of water underneath them, so I don't really see how they're stuck. But Steve saves the day with a couple of elytras, and right after this, we can actually see Steve does not have his own elytra, and instead he's sharing one with Garrett. As of right now, this is not possible in Minecraft, unless Steve is a mob, but I don't think he is. This creeper appears to be made out of grass, which could possibly be accurate as the original grass design does match the color of a creeper. But this next part where Garrett gets blown up by a creeper is not. I mean, bro is wearing no armor 2 inches away from the creeper. There is no way he survived this unless the world is on peaceful mode. Right here we can see a half-broken elytra wing, which isn't a thing in Minecraft. I'd also like to say that pandas can't stack on top of each other like this, but I think it's cool for the movie. In this scene, Garrett is seen talking to a pink sheep, and this is obviously not possible in Minecraft. There's no sheep whispering in the game. Also, the flowers behind him don't really look like real Minecraft flowers, as well as the trees, but the trees look way better than these flowers. I mean, these flowers are not in the game. It's not possible to find a ruined portal that looks like this, but Jack Black saying completely makes up for the portal being weird. Forgot to mention this earlier, ghasts also don't attack villagers, just like piglins. Piglins are not able to carry TNT or torches, and there is a broken fence block on the side here, which is not a thing in the game. I just want you to look at this massive nether portal. I'm not saying that this isn't possible in the game, because I don't know exactly how many blocks it is, but I just think it's super cool. Like, imagine if giant portals like this could actually spawn in the game. You know what everyone wants in their house? A 1-to-1 replica statue of themselves. And this could be a possibility in the future by adding the ability to give armor stands player skins. It would be a little bit weird having mannequins in your single player world, but I can definitely see this being used a lot in multiplayer. Minecraft 1.22 has been speculated to be the end update. Although this is not confirmed, if 1.22 does bring new updates to the end, one of the updates we would be seeing is a new ore. Radium ore has been under review by Mojang for a while now. It's an ore that would be found in the end that could be smelted to make radium ingots, which could then be turned into a radium block. Radium blocks emit light, and they would be radioactive, applying poison to anything near it. So building your house out of it probably isn't ideal. You know how the wandering trader has llamas? Not anymore. Well, imagine if this dog was this villager's pet. That's right, villagers could have pets in the future. The concept is, if you attack a villager, his pet will come defend him just like the golem does. Now, I think this is a really cool idea, as long as it doesn't get too crazy. Waves could be added to Minecraft. Now, this is one of the more possible changes to be added in the summer update, as it matches the whole ambient theme that Mojang is going for. I think waves would also make the water and vibrant visuals look way better than the current flat Lego design that we've seen so far. Obviously, the waves wouldn't be this crazy though, but it would be cool if they were. It's kind of fun to surf these in a boat. We could also see seals being added to the ocean in the future as well. The seal does have a ton of similarities to the dolphin though, so it would probably take a full ocean update to see seals added to the game, which could also bring the addition of crabs and lobsters to the game. These mobs would be the size of a silverfish, and they probably would attack you with claws if you go near them. You could get crab and lobster meat from killing crabs, and you could even catch them with crab traps as a new alternative to fishing. Another simple change related to the ocean is the ability to repair tridents. Right now you need another trident to repair your current trident in an anvil, when instead Instead, you could just be able to use prismarine shards to make repairing tridents a lot more affordable. Another simple change we could see is the ability to push chests with a piston. I didn't even know that this was impossible until seeing this suggestion, and if you play Bedrock, you wouldn't know this is impossible because it is possible on Bedrock. With Mojang adding a lot of features from Bedrock to Java, this could possibly be added to Java very soon. Another thing that could possibly be added is double jumping. A double jump enchantment could be added to boots that would probably work similar to how it does on servers. Now this would kind of make jump boost potions completely useless, as double jump would just be way better, but it's still a cool concept for a new enchantment, or possibly a new type of boots that are specifically made for double jumping. I say this because we could also be seeing a new type of boots called speedy boots, as Steve calls these things speedy boots in the Minecraft movie. So a new type of boots that gives you speed naturally could be added in the future, although these might just be soul speed boots that have been given a cool look just for the purpose of the movie. We could also see backpacks being added in 1.22. Similar to bundles, which were just recently added, backpacks could serve as an inventory inside of an inventory, or even add slots to your inventory when worn, although I would assume they would get a new item slot if this was the case, because wearing a backpack over a chestplate could be a bad idea. Another wearable item that could be coming to the game is mob heads. Okay, obviously mob heads are already in the game. I mean more mob heads than the ones we currently have. Like maybe a head for every single mob in the game. Having every mob head in the game would be super cool, as it would give people a new challenge to collect every head in the game. Wait, how did they get this? Colored stairs and slabs have been missing from the game for a while, and new terracotta and concrete slabs, stairs, and walls could fix this issue, or just adding every single color of wood could fix this too. I wonder which one Mojang will do first. Also, changing the color of the sky could be a feature coming to the game soon. You wouldn't be able to do this in survival, but a command to change the color of the sky could be very cool. And we could even have different sky colors for certain biomes, kinda like the fog in the nether, or even just biomes where it's always night or always daytime. I'm looking at one biome in specific. Dog beds could be added to Minecraft, which would serve as a way to have a more permanent pet in Minecraft. As similar to how beds work on players, dog beds would set a respawn point for your dog. This would stop your friends from killing your dog when you're not online, and instead they would have to be a little bit more creative. We could also see skeleton dogs, which are dogs that have been struck by lightning. A skeleton would no longer be afraid of this dog, as it is now a skeleton dog, and you could maybe even find skeletons walking around with their own skeleton dogs, kinda like how skeletons can ride skeleton horses. Also under review is a giant biome. No, not like this. This guy wrote an entire essay about the giant biome, but pretty much it's a biome where everything is giant. I shrunk myself to give you an idea of how this would look. It's based off of the giant mob, where everything in the biome would be normal sized for the giant. The biome would be extremely rare, and the fights would be a lot more challenging as the bigger mobs would have more health, but because of this they would also drop more items. Imagine mining diamond ore in the giant biome, or a ruby, sapphire, and crystals in the new magic forest biome. I don't know how this post is under review, but this biome is a similar concept to the giant biome. It has giant trees, flowers, mushroom houses, and there's a new mob that would be the opposite of giant, the fairy. This kind of reminds me of the Twilight Forest mod, and it would be cool to get a biome with magic. Just please don't add spells. Spells get way too confusing. Another mod that could come to Minecraft is the Aether mod, but not really. The Skylands dimension is under review though. Based on the old Floating Islands world type, you would build a portal kind of like a nether portal that could take you to a new dimension that possibly has a new boss. Obviously I'm using the Aether for reference because the concept is very similar. The only difference here is that if you fall in the void in the Skylands, you get teleported down to the overworld. You don't just die. Beavers could also be a mob that is added in the future in Minecraft. A beaver would come with a new structure called a beaver dam, which is a reference to a beaver dam in real life if you couldn't tell. Beaver dams would be made of a new stick block, and beavers could even drop beaver skin to be used to make beaver armor, and this beaver armor would turn you into a beaver when you swim underwater. We could also see an oasis being added to the desert, as there have been a few desert updates recently. It would be a structure with palm trees, water, and bamboo. I do wonder if this would function like a real oasis though. Wait, where did it go? Alright, I'm gonna die of thirst now, GG. I wouldn't die of thirst if I had a grappling rope, though. I wouldn't die of thirst at all in Minecraft, actually. Wait, how? A grappling rope is a possible future item that can be used to go up things without using blocks. Beyond that, I don't see it being very useful, as there are blocks in Minecraft which you can use to navigate terrain. But it's Minecraft, so you never know. Rice could also be a new plant coming to Minecraft, except you would have to plant rice in water instead of in the ground. You could then harvest rice and use it to make some new food. You could have just a bowl of rice, you could make sushi, you could even make fried rice in a furnace, or even a bag of rice, which could be a cool new block used to stop flowing water. Ignore that almost every other block in the game can already do that. A couple of insane things that I don't even know how they are under review is the red dragon that Notch planned to add years ago, which is still somehow under review to this day. The water dragon, as if the red dragon wasn't enough. I will say that the water dragon may have inspired the warden a little bit with the mention of the deep dark ocean. Hopefully it did, because this is way too many dragons. A giraffe, which isn't that crazy. I just say this because a Savannah update just happened and there was no giraffe added, so we probably won't be seeing a giraffe anytime soon. And finally, the Kraken, which is an underwater boss that is basically a giant squid that can grab you and shoots ink at you. This is chiseled copper, and because of this cool X design on the sides of the block, it actually makes a really nice crate if placed with some other crate looking things. And if you place these blocks in a 2x2 like this, and then place signs all around the sides, you can make an even bigger and better looking crate. You can also mix in some of the brand new copper trapdoors on the side of the crates, and you can even change the middle block to make some empty looking crates. Or we can just remove the block in the middle completely and we get a cool little animal house. I promise I'm gonna let him out, guys. If you want to make a more humane pet house, you can place some trapdoors like this, add some carpets on the bottom, and then put the new heavy core in the front, which kind of looks like a food bowl. And if you want some more food for your pet, you can place a chiseled copper like this and put a sea pickle on the top, and it kind of looks like a melon or something. We should probably just stick to the actual melon though. I don't know if I cooked with this one. You can place some copper trapdoors on top of campfires like this to make a cool looking stove, and now we can cook the melon if we want. And if you want to make a chair to sit down and have a meal, here's one chair design using the new trapdoors, and here is another. This chair is a little bit goofy. In real life, it would be like 3 meters tall. Another new block coming in 1.21 is the crafter, which surprisingly has a lot of different building use. To start, you can make a stove by placing the crafter on top of some campfires, and then adding a few more kitchen details like this. And you can also use a crafter as cabinets if you place it facing this way instead. Who knew the crafter was the ultimate kitchen block? The bottom of the crafter can also be used as a roof, so I guess that makes it the third time it's used in this kitchen. And if you place it on the ground, it kind of looks like some kind of mat that is meant to keep the floor clean. Might as well just build the whole house out of crafters at this point. More household items that can be built with a crafter is this PC where the crafter is used as a monitor, or you can go all out and build a flat screen TV using 2 different angles of the crafter like this. Don't mind me, just sitting on my crafter couch watching my crafter TV. You can also place a crafter like this and then put a few seats around it to create an actual functioning game of tic-tac-toe. Okay, how am I losing to myself? And if you want to protect your house from intruders, you can use the crafter as a keypad like this. If you place a tough wall with a trapdoor on each side and then add a crafter on top and place a few more details like this, you can make a telephone booth looking thing like this. And if you look at this side of the crafter, it kind of looks like a face, which means you're actually able to build the crafter man like this. Now I know why we installed the security on the first door. This guy's not messing around. Coming up next, we have a few build hacks that are pretty tough. Tough bricks look kind of like stone bricks, so you can mix them together to make a nice looking pattern. Just like how chiseled tough and polished tough go together nicely if you place them on the floor. You can also use the top of chiseled tough bricks to make a really satisfying floor design like this. This is so cool, it almost looks like it's 3D. And if you take the side of regular chiseled tough and place it in a cave, it kind of looks like old transcriptions on the wall. This doesn't really work the same with chiseled tough bricks though, it kind of looks out of place. These brand new chiseled tough blocks can be used to make really nice looking pillars because of their unique designs, and if you want to make a fence out of tough walls, it actually looks really nice mixing them all together. You can even put one more block up on some parts like this, and then place a heavy core on top, and it kind of looks like a light that isn't on. If you pair the new tough walls with a few iron blocks like this, it looks like some kind of power station thing that would probably look good on top of a building or something. And I also found this robot guy you can make, which uses all the new blocks in the build, including the heavy cores for the eyes. I don't know why, but it kind of looks more like a frog than a robot. Speaking of heavy cores, the heavy core is actually a really useful block for builds. Well, it probably is for someone who actually knows how to build. But still, you can place it on top of a table like this, and it kind of looks like a mug or a thermos. And as we saw earlier, if you place it in an item frame, it kind of looks like eyes, which is especially scary if you just place it around a dark cave like this. I'd say I sure hope no one's watching me, but this is a video, so I hope you are. A mace is made from a heavy core, and it kind of looks like a utensil when it's placed on the table from earlier. And if you want to use the heavy cores as eyes without an item frame, I accidentally built this crab out of tuff. You can also build this crab out of copper if you prefer your crabs to be cooked before you put eyes on them. Remember what we could have had instead of the armadillo. Now obviously our crab is pretty cursed, but there are some even more insane build hacks coming later in this video. But first we have these copper trees, which are just oak trees except the leaves are replaced with copper grates. And if you really want to 1.21ify this, you can replace the logs with a tough block of your choice to really make this look like a 100% real tree. You can also place a bunch of water beside your tree like this, and you can even make one of these water lilies with a copper trapdoor and a coral fan on top. Why is this thing called a brain coral fan? What is Minecraft hiding from us? Whatever they're hiding is probably in these pipes, which you can make out of copper trapdoors like this, and if you want to just make a bridge out of copper trapdoors, you can do that. Not really sure if this is a build hack though, it's just a bridge. Copper grates are really useful, as since they are see-through, you can use them to make windows like this. Guys, I swear I'm not in prison. And if you want to use them for something that looks less like you committed a crime, you can make some fences by mixing them with other copper blocks as well. You can also just switch the grates out for a trapdoor for a different window design, and this also works with the fences, although it looks a lot easier for trespassers to climb them now. The copper bulb is a new block that emits light, and you know what that means? Lamps. You can make this simple lamp design using either oxidized or normal copper plus some similar colored fences like this, or if you want to be fancier, you can place some copper blocks as a base like this, put a tough wall above it here, and then add some fences on top of the wall, and finally a slab, a trapdoor, and a bulb like this. Now this is a better looking lamp than the first one, but if you want to be even fancier, you can make a double lamp like this, and honestly I think this one is a little bit too overkill. I mean, why do we even need a third lantern in the middle? And with these lamps, you're probably going to want to add a road underneath them so that they have something to actually light up. And if you want to add a sewer entrance, you can move two of the stairs so that they are facing like this, and then add some copper grates underneath to look like a cool sewer entrance. Just make sure that you don't accidentally drop your phone in it. Now it's almost time for some cursed build hacks. But first we have this copper gear, which can be made using some of the new copper blocks, and if this gear is too much for you, you can shrink it down a bit like this if we remove the trapdoors. You can also place a copper block on the roof of a cave, and then place a wall and a fence underneath to make an artificial dripstone like this, and this actually comes in both colors as you can see, although the oxidized one looks more like an icicle than a dripstone. Another thing you can hang on the roof is a copper bulb like this to make another type of lamp, and if you want to build a copper staircase, you can now add some copper grates underneath the stairs, and also put some copper trapdoors on the sides for more detail. If you want to add some scary windows to your house, you can use the new trial spawners as an ominous window design like this, and this can also be used as a fence design if you have some kind of haunted mansion or something. A trial spawner can also be used as a bird cage if you right click on it with a parrot spawn egg so it traps the bird inside. Of course this is except for the fire and the spinning and the fact that it spawns parrots. Okay, that one was kind of bad, I'm not gonna lie. An ominous key can kind of look like a painting of a tree if you place it in an item frame on the wall of your house. And another thing that can go in an item frame is a breeze rod paired with a blaze rod, which is meant to look like the hot and cold on a water tap. Something that's less of a build hack and more of a cool trick is this wind charge launcher, which you can make by angling 4 dispensers full of wind charges towards you. Okay, I don't know how it turned infinite, but I'm not complaining. It's kind of like a trampoline now. If you place some copper bulbs like this and then put some tuff in the middle, you can create a portal to the secret copper dimension. And now it's time to show you some absolutely cursed build hacks that should not be used ever, mainly because they're really stupid. First off, if you throw a wind charge and then use the new /tick freeze command, you can make a really cool smoke effect that you can use in your builds, although now the entire rest of the game is frozen, so this might not be that useful. You can also trap a bogged in some sand like this, and it will make it look like someone died while traveling the desert. When an armadillo rolls up into a ball, you can use this opportunity to use the armadillo armadillo as a soccer ball that you can even play with using a knockback sword like this. And a rolled up armadillo can also look like some boxes on the ground or on some shelves depending on where you place it. Just like earlier, if you put a bogged in some powdered snow, it will look like somebody died while traveling in the snow. The only problem with this one is that the bogged actually does die in the snow eventually. And finally, if you spawn a breeze in some water, it kinda looks like a jellyfish. Okay, yeah, that's enough cursed build hacks. That one was insanely stupid. This is a street drain that is built using the new copper grates as well as some tough blocks, and it's a shame that you can't waterlog the copper grates, as this would actually be really cool. And if you just place a copper bulb in the sky like this and add a lever underneath, it can look like one of those floating lanterns that are for Chinese New Year, I think. I'm probably wrong about that, don't get mad at me. You can also switch the copper bulb out for one of these frog lights like this, and then you can place either oxidized trapdoors or regular copper trapdoors on the outside for another one of these lamp designs as well. And now with these trapdoors, you can also use them as a curtain thing on the side of your windows instead of using them as windows like we did earlier. And if you want to make another lamp, like we haven't made enough already, we can place some of the new tough blocks like this and then put a copper bulb with copper trapdoors around it like this. And another weird lamp design I've seen is this copper bulb on top of a dragon egg with some buttons on it so you can actually turn it on and off. And somehow I forgot the fact that these new trapdoors can be used as railings on the side of like a factory upper level, and you can also place some copper grates to make a nice floor to go with the trapdoor railings as well.
Piece of Minecraft trivia. Did you know that villagers have a mildly large forehead? Now, look, I'm not making fun of them, I swear. But Steve, Alex, and all the other player models have 4 pixels of head space. But on the other hand, a villager's texture has 5 pixels. And what are they doing with all that extra brain power? Well, the world may never know. But in this case, we're stuffing that 5 head with even more useless Minecraft trivia. Such as, you might never think about it, but breathing's actually pretty useless. At least, it would be for Steve. And hidden in Minecraft sound files is a play your breath sound. And if we actually use the /play sound command, we could actually hear what Mojang wants Steve's breath to sound like. Get a listen to this. Blazes, Sniffers, Wardens, they all have their own breathing noises, so why can't the players have theirs? I mean, it would get a little creepy. Imagine the sound playing every time the player breaks a block. And now I'm sure it's only a matter of time before Jack Black makes this noise everywhere in theaters worldwide. Do you wish there were vertical slabs in Minecraft? Well, here's the next best thing. According to Mojang, vertical slabs are never coming to Minecraft. But then explain this. See, we're able to make this weird shape with just stairs and slabs. And then what's interesting is that if you look at it from the right angle, it sort of gives the impression that we're using vertical slabs. Also resulting in this very strange looking flower thing. And while I'm not sure what you could ever use this for, or if it's even applicable in any other Minecraft build, well, then it would become useful, wouldn't it? And we can't have that in this video. Minecraft has plenty of caves to explore, but sometimes the deepest depths lie right before your very eyes. So if you open up the creative menu and scroll all the way down, right to the bottom at the blocks tab, the very last item you'll find is the waxed oxidized copper bulb. So share this information with your friends. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. We've talked about the size of the villager's head, but I'd be remiss if we left out the goat. No, not the actual goat, the other one. See, when a pufferfish expands, it grows from 0.35 blocks squared to 0.7 blocks squared, doubling in size to give it a total volume of 0.49 blocks. This makes a fully puffed pufferfish about half a block in size. And what can we do with this information? Not much, but it does get us the chance to think about what a pufferfish slab would look like. Just imagine poisoning and pricking your feet with every step. That's a free idea for you, Mojang. Get on it. Imagine soaring from tree to tree, suspended by a thin rope with wind in your hair, passing a wild world beneath you. Apparently, it's a shared fantasy for many, as this command block zipline animation by Shrimpy Seagull on Reddit has become the most popular r/Minecraft post of all time. And might I say, deservedly so. It has a deeply intricate assembly sequence with curated camera angles, detailed sound bites, and all this earned them a deserved 140,000 upvotes and a spot in Minecraft's history books. And while we all know that the children yearn for the mines, the Minecraft Redditors seem to yearn for the zip lines. Steampunk, steampunk, steampunk. If you're a Minecraft builder, you've probably heard that word more times than you can count, and I can count, like a lot. But after all this time, I might have found the origin. Found in the r/gaming subreddit is a Minecraft build by user Deltagon. It showcases a massive steampunk city built into the legs of a towering bridge. And this impressive Minecraft build sports 130,000 upvotes to this day. And it's the highest rated Minecraft build on Reddit of all time. But it's too bad we can't do more with that information, other than build more steampunk. Have you ever played Herobrine's Mansion? It and custom maps like it are a significant part of Minecraft's history. I mean, after all, we wouldn't have things like Hypixel or the Bedrock Marketplace without them. But what's the most downloaded adventure map of all time? Well, on Planet Minecraft, it's the Dropper by Bigre. It was published in 2012, and it was such a hit that it also spawned a whole new genre of custom maps called droppers, where the objective is to fall several dozen blocks without hitting anything on the way down. And why is it so popular? Well, the map taps into the player's primal urge to avoid being splattered like a poorly cracked egg. And at that point, it's over easy to see why this is the most popular map, and that's no joke. One of the best things about a creative game like Minecraft is having total control over the player's skin, where at any given point we can easily download a skin template and change it to whatever we want. I mean, there aren't a lot of games that let you just become anything that you might think up in MS Paint. But what you might not know is that the third most downloaded Planet Minecraft skin of all time is Batman. And come on, who wouldn't want to be a billionaire superhero who has both their parents? Oh, wait. What are lily pads actually pointing to? Other Minecraft plants like the sunflower will always point eastward, making them a decently useful tool for navigation. So why do the lily pads point the way that they do? Well, the direction's based on location, meaning a lily pad's orientation is forever predetermined. Yeah, no matter what direction you're facing or how many times you replace the block, it'll always face the same way. And does this direction mean anything? Do chains of lily pads secretly spell out a secret code or point to a secret stash of diamonds? Well, no. I mean, not unless you're simply Sark. Don't you hate it when a would-be symmetrical build is just slightly off? Imagine if the Pillager Outpost, a build that's been in Minecraft since April of 2019, had 2 random blocks missing from a single corner. I mean, that would just be crazy. Flat out insane. Unfortunately, you don't have to imagine it, it's real. Yeah, load up a world in any version after 1.14 and do a /locate command to find a Pillager Outpost. And just look at it. Look at what we've got to deal with. It's even recorded on several pages of Minecraft's official bug tracker. And I've been cursed with this useless fact, and now so do you. Sorry if you can't unsee it. I hate to break it to you, but Minecraft's ripping you off. Well, sort of. Let me explain. See, every stair recipe requires 6 blocks to craft 4 stairs. That means you're spending 1.5 blocks to make a single block of a stair. That is despite the stair blocks being a fraction of a full block themselves. So for every 1.5 blocks that we spend, we're actually only getting about half that, or 0.75 blocks in volume. And that means that every time that we're making ourselves some stairs, we're wasting half the materials just to get there. Which would be a big problem if the trapdoor recipe wasn't so much worse. And here, using 6 blocks to only get 2 trapdoors, which are just a fraction of the block size, that's pitiful. And the stone cutter doesn't make that one any better. Here's a neat trick. If you're in Bedrock Edition, you can grab yourself a shulker box and then find a nice cozy cave wall and place your shulker right in front of you. Then with the lid facing towards your body, you can open it up very carefully. That shulker lid will push you inside of the cave wall. And if you happen to try this out in a cave wall that doesn't happen to be 1 block thick, I hope you enjoy the inside of it. There's only so many useful things that you can do before you suffocate to death. Mojang are trying to hide something from you, and it's inside of one of Minecraft's oldest features, the redstone repeater. Now, the repeater's usual function is to extend a redstone signal and create delay. It's a pretty basic redstone component, and it's useful in almost any machine. However, what if I told you the repeater had a secret? Practically useless secret. See, repeaters can be locked, and by powering a repeater from the side, it locks its current state until it's unlocked. And a locked repeater without will be unable to gain it back. And unless you're planning on doing computational redstone, there's really no use for locking a repeater. It's not like it's gonna stop anyone from stealing it. Making technical redstone farms is one of the best ways to spend your time in Minecraft. With a little resource input here and a little time input there, you can get a steady flow of infinitely generating resources. But what if I told you that you can make machines for no material benefit whatsoever? Like here, by assembling a few dispensers and observers, you can turn a regular old smoker block into one that produces real smoke. And so, anytime that it's cooking, the campfire underneath the smoker will automatically ignite, creating a nice indicator for when it finishes. And now it's high time for someone to make a blast furnace that actually blasts off. Behold, my cherry blossom wooden pickaxe. And also behold, my crimson wooden pickaxe. Now, the more astute of you might have noticed that these are exactly the same tools. Yeah, despite there being 10 different colored wood types, Minecraft only has a single wooden tool texture, brown. And imagine if we did have different colorful tools, depending on the wood type that you use to craft them. That would actually make you feel anytime that you're getting a different spawn, creating even more detailed worlds for storytelling. And I also just really want to have a red pickaxe. The default icon for a server's entry in the Minecraft menu is this, pack.png. It's an iconic bit of Minecraft history. Was it built specifically for the picture? Did Mojang just stroll along until they found a nice looking hill? Well, it's probably the latter, but some crazy people of the community actually managed to find it. Using complex algorithms, they were able to find the exact Minecraft seed where the pack.png picture was taken. It took thousands of people 8 months of their their time, and math. And by sacrificing all that by parsing trillions of possible Minecraft seeds, people are now able to visit their seed themselves in beta 1.7.3. And if you want to try it for yourself, it's 325-784-038-850-495-3787. Go on and check it out. Once a year, it seems like Minecraft developers are let out to pasture, free to code and design any Minecraft feature that they please in the wilds of Sweden. And we all call this yearly event April Fools. Now, the first April Fools Minecraft update has actually resulted in real features that were added into the main game. Well, not the very first April Fool's event, since that was just a gimmick to get people to go to the website, but the one inside of the game had features like stained and tinted glass that first appeared in Minecraft 2.0. So while many features are jokes, it allows the developers the freedom to explore ideas that normally they wouldn't get the chance to. And I'm still crossing my fingers that the Ethos slab eventually becomes real. A TNT half slab that you light off, and it lets anvils on top of your head. Although it's typically been a vague release pattern for the Minecraft updates, there were two that came out in a noticeably interesting way. That being that Minecraft 1.19 was released on June 7th of 2022, while Minecraft 1.20 was released on June 7th of 2023. And for the first time ever, two major updates in a row released on the same date exactly a year apart. And was this pattern ever repeated? So far, no. I mean, Minecraft 121 came out on June 13th of this year, and that kind of discrepancy can't be explained away by the leap year. So will it ever repeat again? Probably not. During the ancient times, back in 2009, before color was ever invented, Minecraft was still in its in-dev phase of development. There were no wardens, no pillagers. Diamonds even were just a new thing after being renamed from emeralds. Minecraft was a completely different world. And during the in-dev 0.31, it was there that a feature was implemented changing Minecraft forever, item dropping. Back then, Notch added the ability for players to drop items onto the ground. And imagine if we couldn't toss all of our garbage stuff into lava. Or if we weren't able to flood our friend's inventory with useless junk like light gray stained glass paints. It's a world I don't want to live in, that's for sure. I love it when games have unique fantasy elements. And I'm talking about the magical fantasy that can't be found anywhere else. In Minecraft, it's things like the Creeper, the Warden, but most people don't know there's actually a secret fourth dimension in Minecraft. But if you open up your menu and navigate to the languages screen, you can try selecting this strange phrase, UK English. It changes words like cookies to biscuits, baked potatoes to jacket potatoes, and there's a whole new world of possibilities. It makes you wonder what other kind of zany words Mojang will make up to add to this wonderful game. Alright, quick, without looking, which key on your keyboard is the inventory key binded to? Well, has it always been that way? Because currently the default keybind to open your inventory is E. But that's obviously ridiculous, right? Does the E stand for inventory? It's insane. And it wasn't until 1.14 that it changed from I to E. And now I know what you're saying. Most sandbox games use E for its inventory key, and it's better to maintain its conventions. And you might also be saying that it's closer to the WAS and D movement keys, so it's far more comfortable to use. But none of this matters since everyone knows the best way to open up your inventory is with the tab key. Minecraft's end poem is an iconic ending to an iconic game. It wraps up an infinite sandbox with a surreal retrospective on what it means to make things in a world like Minecraft. And do you know how long it is? Well, the poem combined with Minecraft's credits scene goes on for an excruciating duration of 27 minutes and 15 seconds. Now, of course, this useless fact will not help you in any way. But what's so exceptionally useless about this fact is that Minecraft's 27-minute and 15-second credits doesn't even come close to breaking a world record. No, the longest end credits scene in a video game goes to Mighty Number 9 at a whopping 3 hours and 47 minutes and 50 seconds of playtime. And maybe we can get Julian Goff to write another 3.5 hours of scrolling text, which would still be more worthwhile going through than playing any of Mighty Number 9. If your friends always wanted to live at sea, then here's a way to bring the sea to them, or at least part of it. Since folks, boats are entities, which means that if we want to, we could place down a whole bunch of these and cover your friend's entire house in boats. I mean, let's be honest, it's not exactly an expensive prank, especially if you got yourself a tree farm, or even just a good axe and a taiga tree. And while it's annoying that these can't stack in your inventory, placing them down is a really easy setup. And then when your friend wants to get rid of it, they're also easy to clean up. And they'll probably want to as well, considering that many entities could get a little laggy. And really that's the most destructive part of this prank, the lag. And the only thing that I would caution against so that you don't get anything too mean would be making sure that none of the boats get too close to your friend's animal pen. While they're easy to break by themselves, when you have to look at the proper hitboxes to make sure that you're not killing your pigs and sheep, then it gets annoying. What do you call this Minecraft mob? Nowadays, I think we'd all agree it's a chicken, but that wasn't always the case. And there used to be a heated debate during the beta that this mob was a duck, not a chicken. I mean, even Notch referred to the mob as the chicken, duck, whatevers. So maybe that history is why Mojang decided decided that ducks will never be added to Minecraft. Though if you look at these community-made examples, it's clear that there is a lot more to be done here than just recolorations of the chickens. But instead, they could swim around in the new 1.19 swamps and rivers. Eating a pufferfish isn't a great idea. Not only is the poison going to leave you with a damaged life bar, but the nausea isn't that fun either. But that latter effect has actually gotten some changes. Instead of giving off nausea 2, pufferfish only give off nausea 1 when consumed in 1.16.2. That doesn't make any difference, so it's just a pointless change. Plains biomes make for great locations for building. Just there you get lush grass, flat surfaces, and an overall nice atmosphere for your base. But there is one problem point you're sure to notice. Say you're placing the blocks as a foundation for your new house, laying them out in a row, only to have your flow interrupted by a measly flower. Since tulips, unlike the neighboring grass, have their own persistent hitbox, meaning we can't just place our blocks as we please. Which means most of the time we see these, they're just going to be a roadblock to your building flow. Did you know pigs could drop brown mushrooms? Sure enough, back in the Java Edition survival test, there was a time where these mobs only dropped brown mushrooms on death. But obviously, this was changed to a pork chop when that item got added in. Oh, it makes me wonder, if you eat a mushroom stew made out of pig shrooms, is that still vegetarian? I don't know. This is the rarest potion in Minecraft. So rare that you can't even brew it up. There's no recipe that exists for this thing. But if you were to type in this give command to give yourself a potion that has no NBT data, then what you'll get in your inventory is a potion that's completely blank. But you can also get tipped arrows of the same variant. So okay, what do? Well, when you drink the uncraftable potion and find out, unfortunately, not much. I don't know what you expected. It literally has nothing special about it. You know how a chicken can keep running with its head cut off? Well, the same does happen in Minecraft. Kind of. See, if you were to kill a chicken where it falls off a cliff, its corpse will fall slower than any other. And additionally, it'll still flap its wings after dying. This is my friend's house, and this is my house. Notice any similarities? Since a great prank is to go and copy your friend's base verbatim block for block and place it right next to theirs. And after all, I've heard that taking inspiration's a great thing, so I stop at just taking inspiration and take their whole base as well. And if you're able to install a mod that lets you preview schematics so that you can get it just right, then that can really add to the detail of getting this prank done right. If you want to, you can even put up a wall of glass in between and have it look like the mirror image. I think that would be pretty funny too. If you've played around with name tags, you're probably well aware of the different Easter eggs certain names have. And while people will try to get you to believe that the Jev name tag does more than it does, there is more that we could do using the Dinnerbone or Grum tag. See, the game is coded in such a way where even players will turn upside down when given these names, which means Dinnerbone's account is also shown to be upside down. But in Bedrock, we can experience that ourselves. If not signed in, change your name to Dinnerbone or Grum, and you'll be upside down just the same as they are. While this blue ice block doesn't look that expensive, let's put it in perspective. Since to get one of these, you're gonna need 9 packed ice, and since the packed ice block is made out of 9 ice itself, what we're really seeing here is that one blue ice block is the equivalent of 81 ice blocks like so. And when you put that side by side in a comparison, it's quickly noticeable that you're gonna be spending a lot of ice just to get that quick highway. And frankly, if you're looking to spend the time to get that much blue ice to actually get up to those top speeds, you should really be building your highway like this with the gaps, because otherwise you're just wasting efficiency. Especially when you consider that both of these designs work the exact same. So Minecraft has its fair share of prickly blocks. Now when you're starting out, this makes sense, but when I got a full case of netherite armor on my body, I don't get why I'm still getting hit by thorns. Granted, I don't think the barrier here should be just as simple as wearing armor. For example, if I'm wearing a leather helmet, I should still get poked on the rest of my body. But if I've got diamonds on my chest, legs, and boots, I don't know why I'm getting hit as much. And it would make traveling through these forest biomes a whole lot less of a pain. If you watch closely, this squid's arms will start to move slower and slower. And why this happens is because, in Bedrock only, a squid's arms show how much oxygen it has left. So when 15 seconds pass and it's out of air in the tank, its arms will stop and it'll suffocate. Which seems like a lot of effort to code for such a pointless mob. Sometimes the past is very different from how you remember it, but even factoring the Mandela effect, I swear that Minecraft 1.9 never looked like this when I played it. And unfortunately, now when you go to boot up Minecraft 1.9 in the standard Minecraft launcher, you'll instead be greeted to the sight of everything looking completely broken. The text in the chat will be off, textures look weird, parts of the world are just missing, but luckily when you play this version through other third-party launchers, those tend to fare a little better. Finding your way back out of a cave can be tough, and while leaving a path of torches is definitely possible, that's also burning through quite a bit of the coal that you're going down there to mine in the first place. So instead, silly as it may seem, we should actually bring down a snow golem. Now, hear me out. If you tie one of these to a lead, then we can drag it along and essentially create snow layers as a path to lead us right back out of the cave, which would be incredibly useful if you're mining so long that your pickaxe breaks down in the caves. Because while you can always dig up to get out of a cave, that's a lot tougher to do when you have nothing to dig with. And plus, the snow golem will also be able to throw off some snowballs and maybe keep some other mobs away from from you down in the caves, giving you both a getaway and a ride or die. By having skeletons and zombies burn in the daylight, Mojang found an ingenious way to encourage players to explore during the day. But while that mechanic is a solid piece of game design, it does have a few odd quirks as well, such as how all of these blocks can't stop a skeleton from burning, but the cobweb does. Now, I get it, things like a chest are a transparent block, and they're coded as such, but a cobweb? That just doesn't make any sense. And if you ask me, if it lets light get through, then it should still apply to the sun rays as well. This house might look nice, but it's got a dirty secret. It's dirt. Dirt's the secret. And while it can be easy to fill in some of the gaps with a cheap block like dirt, all it takes is someone looking at the right angle to know that this house is built off of something pretty cheap, and that especially won't do you any favors if a creeper were to explode. So for that matter, Minecraft doesn't need insulation. I'd recommend against having this. Minecraft's FOV can go as low as FOV 30 and as high as Quake Pro, but that's not actually true, since if you were to go into the game's option text file and then tweak these values even more, and the closer that you set these FOV values down to 180 degrees, the weirder your camera gets, until eventually it's unplayable. And speaking as someone who already thought the game was unplayable on FOV 30, that's saying something. Now, crafting an anvil definitely has its use. I'm not gonna argue with that, but crafting 64 of them to make a railing, that's where you start to lose me. But sure enough, there are some people who like to be bougie and put together some of these anvils as decoration block. And to a degree, I get it. It does have a unique model that makes it great for certain details like so. But having to spend 31 iron ingots just to get one of these, that makes it expensive even if you got yourself an iron farm. And really, if you're at the point where you're considering building this anvil floor design in survival, you might as well just save yourself some time, throw all your iron on the floor, and then crush it with that very same anvil, since both will be about the same waste of your ingots. Iron golems can be a decent bit of help if you need it, and at the very least, they'll work the graveyard shift at your local village. So just round up the iron, set it up like this, and the job will be done. Or maybe not. You see, if the pumpkin isn't placed last, then the golem will not spawn even when it's in proper formation. And in fairness, this is likely a holdover from the older versions where you couldn't even place a pumpkin unsupported. So, as such, the code never accounted for the possibility. If we mess around with the config settings for the Immersive Portals mod, then we can change it so that the end portal that we find in the Stronghold will actually show us a scaled view of what we're going to see on the other side. And you'll see as much when you put in all the Eyes of Ender, giving us basically a diorama of the end portal to look at. And it gets even more trippy when you jump in and then you seamlessly enter through the portal. At that point, what looked to be like we're jumping into a hologram actually turns out that we're falling directly into the end fight, which can easily throw off your head for scale. So, if I had the choice for fighting the Ender Dragon on this small display, I think I'd be able to beat it faster than most speedruns. One bed and you're done. Watch this fish closely, because in Bedrock Edition, if you put a fish inside of a moving water source like this, then if it stays in the same place idle long enough, its swimming animation will infinitely speed up, until, as you can see, we get some pretty wild results. But it's worth mentioning that no matter how much speed it builds up, as soon as the fish actually moves a block, then its animation goes back to normal. So if you're trying to build up speed for 12 hours, you might want to look somewhere else. This might look like a magic wand, but it's actually a sparkler. And the way that we get this is by mixing together chloride and magnesium with a stick in the Education Edition. And actually using different kinds of chloride can give you different colors, such as calcium chloride for an orange one, or tungsten chloride for a green one. And unfortunately, while these give off particles, they don't actually give off any light, meaning these are really more of a party trick than anything useful. With the new mangrove trapdoor, we're able to make a pretty easy illusion, since if we just place one of these onto the front of a dispenser and flip it up like so, then from the right angle, it looks as if the eyes are following you along the camera. And there you have it, just like that, we've got a little watchful robot to keep an eye on you. Or if you want that same illusion, but you want a different eye color, then by just placing a fence post behind the trapdoor, you get the same effect, making this pretty diverse in how it works. Minecraft's clouds don't get a lot of love, and by this point, many of us have turned them off in the settings. But part of that is because these exist so low within the world. And thankfully, along with the new height to our worlds, these now can float at a Y level of 192 instead of 128 like before. When you're killing a bunch of mobs for XP, it's easy to lose focus, which is a shame, because when you take the time to actually get a breather, then you might just notice that these experience orbs have recently changed their look. As of recent versions, these bubbles are now transparent, which doesn't make too much of a difference since we still pick them up the same way, but hey, now you know. Thinking of the right name for a pet can be tough work, so if you're really strapped for options, this might be a good fallback. All we'll need is a bit of ingenuity and a complete lack of remorse. See, if we were to take one of the name tags that we got from exploring and put it into an anvil, anvil, then all we gotta do is go into our settings, change our native language, and then rewrite the name of the name tag as, well, name tag. And then once we change our language back, you notice that we're finally able to name a name tag, and use it as a name tag for our new animal. So if you want to circumvent this one Mojang rule, I guess it's the way to do it. Though I might add, your pet might hate you for it. You're probably familiar with this command to turn off fire ticks so that fires don't generate anymore. And while that does work, back in the day it was a little wonky, since do fire tick would allow for lightning to still generate fires, meaning if you had enough time in a world, almost every single block would have a netherrack effect, not letting fire spread, but also not getting rid of it. Minecraft signs already aren't the easiest thing to read, especially when you have glasses like me, but we can make that so much worse with just the right color of dye. So for example, if your friend has white text on a dark background of a sign, then just by going through and changing it over to dark text on the darker background, it basically gets impossible to read. So unless they want to go deal with something like glow ink sex, and let's be honest, no one wants to deal with glow squids, then they're basically stuck with this one. And with the ability to edit your friend's signs, you can also change that new darker text into a hidden message for them to see. And hidden's the right word for it, since when it's this hard to read, you really have to put this under a microscope before you even know what the prank was in the first place. Under certain circumstances, an iron golem will attack a villager. Now, clearly the villagers are a peaceful mob, but if they use their fireworks after a raid, that celebration might just damage a nearby golem. And if it does, the iron golem will get aggressive and even kill the villager that it's supposed to protect. The ability to glaze terracotta opens up a bunch of new patterns to use in your builds, and while some of those are fun, others can be a headache. For an example, if we look at the light gray glazed terracotta block like this, it seems fine, but when you align it like so, the middle design doesn't line up across the blocks, which shuts down some really interesting floor patterns before they could even get off the ground. And maybe there is someday we'll see these centerpieces line up with one another, but until then, I'd rather just use a different block. While beacons clearly have a lot of function as a, well, beacon, they do also give off a light source, which we can extrapolate to mean that you can use beacons exclusively as a light source inside your base. But why you would ever do this, it's beyond me, because each one of these blocks that you place down tells the story that you killed a wither for each nether star inside, which is pretty cool, but as soon as you see a beacon chandelier like this, then it starts to feel excessive. And honestly, if you're gonna use a beacon for decoration, I'd much rather use it for colorful beacon beams, because at least then the beacon could be active instead of just passive like so. Making a shop on a server is a great way to make profit, but see, where most businesses go wrong is that they sell products that actually work, and that's how we're gonna increase our profit margin. Since by having a weapons, armor, or tool shop where the items are dispensed out to your friends, we can have it so that they have no idea that they're actually buying tools that are almost near broken, at least until it's too late. And to make that armor even better, give it cursive binding, and then they'll really be stuck with having to wear it right until its bitter end. But luckily for them, that's coming soon. And the best part is that they can't even salvage the item back in an anvil, since once it's on them, it's on them. We're gonna use just one ender pearl to get infinite amounts of ender pearls, and then 0 amounts of frames. By setting up a repeating command block, we can type in this execute command so that every ender pearl entity that enters the world is therefore summoning other ender pearl entities, which right now doesn't seem that bad. But as soon as you make the decision, or the mistake I should say, to throw out an ender pearl, we'll quickly have more than 16 of the things. Then after saying this, maybe it's for the best that endermen don't always drop ender pearls. Clearly they're a lot more powerful than we ever thought. Now, I've sung the praises of the cake ladder too many times to count, and while it does add a fair amount of speed with the right horse, is it practical? No, not at all. The amount of cake that you need to make for this thing should be illegal. It definitely feels like a crime laying it all out on the crafting table. And then to not only have your cake, but then eat it too, that makes this build more of a fantasy than anything. But it's a fantasy that I'll still happily use, in creative mode. With the help of downloading a mod, or by building an update suppression machine like this, we're able to glitch out the game in such a way to split up the 2-block tall door into just half of a door, which can get quickly confusing when you're flipping each one individually. But hey, we're not able to put trapdoors sideways, so the idea of doing this doesn't seem that bad to me. I mean, I would prefer a better texture than this, but if it was possible, great, I would go through with it. Weight in Minecraft is a funny thing. Obviously, it takes some serious muscles for Steve and Alex to carry around stacks and stacks of raw materials, but what's even weirder is comparing the strength of Minecraft's other inhabitants. Take the drip leaf plant for example. While it will bend in a few seconds to an item as light as a feather, a literal anvil can hold on top of it with no problem. And then, weirder still is that if we stand on top of that anvil, it doesn't bend. But just us by ourselves? Yeah, you get the picture. One of the best parts of the Caves and Cliffs update's first half is the addition of axolotls. I mean, they're certainly the cutest feature, that's no contest. But with these water wolves have in the ocean, they don't exactly match on land. And you'll see as much if you beach one. They move pretty slow. That is, until you tie one to a lead, and then it'll move surprisingly fast speeds. Why this happens, I've got no clue. It is pretty hilarious, so I'm fine with it not making sense. From this angle, my skin looks fine, but in actuality, we've flipped it around so that my textures for my skin are actually played on my back, which gives you a great way to mess with your friends. And to go one step further and keep up the facade, if you play in third-person mode with F5, then you can navigate while keeping your skin properly oriented. That is, until it's time for the big reveal and your friend thinks they're doing something behind your back, only for you to have been able to see the entire thing all along. Before the Minecraft pigs were added officially, they originally had a different face texture, with the only change being that their eyes were flipped so that they weren't as derpy as they are now. And while I get that this makes more logical sense, it also just seems way too professional for the pigs. Like, this is how I would expect a Minecraft pig to look if he was selling me door-to-door solar panels. I'm a lot more of a fan of the ones that we got in the game. These are some of the most confusing blocks I've ever seen in Minecraft. Like, what if instead of your sand falling down, it instead fell up? I don't even know if you would call that falling. I thought the only things that fell upwards were Nepo babies. And that's not the only thing going the wrong direction, since now we're able to grow our cactus and sugarcane upside down. But when you see this symmetrical farm design, it's hard to say it doesn't look cool. And hey, it seems safer to have the cactus on the ceiling than down by the floor where I am. It'd be my preference too. This is what lava looks like nowadays, and this is what it looks like in 2012. It's pretty shocking, I know. And while there were a few textures that got changed in the updates following, it was in the 1.14 texture update that most of our textures got a huge rework when they were done by Jappa, which makes some comparisons definitely hard to look at, and thankfully Netherrack looks like this instead of this mess. Even though Minecraft is a sandbox, that doesn't stop the game from having unspoken rules. And if you ask me, some of those are just bizarre. Take this ladder for example. Now if we make a pathland underneath the wall and then place a ladder, you can see it works just fine. Though if we place the ladder above the grass and then try to make it into a path block, it's a no-go. And why that order exists, I've got no clue, but at least now we've got the proper arbitrary way to pull this off. These gears used to be in vanilla Minecraft. See, in the Java Edition in-dev phase, there were these flat gears that could only be broken by letting water into them or exploding it. And if you tried to break them like a normal block, it would just break the block behind them. And maybe that's why this buggy feature never made it into the official game. Now, this sounds unintuitive, but you probably don't want to use bookshelves to build yourself a library, because for each one of those blocks, you're actually looking at 3 leather, 9 paper, and 6 planks per block, which is expensive enough when you just need 15 of them to get a level 30 enchantment. But when you start to consider building up your Library of Alexandria recreation, now you're looking at some serious problems. And honestly, I don't know if it's worth killing that many cows, causing deforestation, and getting rid of a lot of sugarcane just to be left with a texture that's this repetitive. But if you have the farms on hand, maybe you can make this in a sustainable way. And honestly, I'd rather just craft the books outside of the bookshelves so then they have a little bit more use for me. Maybe you've heard this before, but you can't sleep now, there's monsters nearby. But when you look around, you don't see any. Enter the monster under your bed. See, if you dig a 2-block hole underneath a bed, added a daylight sensor, and then place an armor stand on top, it'll be just the right height to see the eyes of the monster head peek through right here, which is a good way to startle anyone who walks into your guest bedroom. Now, the laws of gravity don't exactly apply in Minecraft. I mean, clearly. But what's stranger than that is when Minecraft isn't even consistent on its own terms. For instance, gravel falls when there's nothing beneath it, and similarly, a lantern can only be placed with something solid above or below it. So, then why does this work? Sure, the gravel is supported by the lantern, but the lantern's supported by the gravel just the same, and if you break either one, the whole thing falls apart, giving us all perhaps the most literal definition of a symbiotic relationship. This is the deadliest rabbit in Minecraft, or at least it was the deadliest rabbit in Minecraft. But ever since 1.8, the killer bunny variant no longer has a chance of spawning. And the reason for this, according to Jeb, is that the joke's already been made to death, so it was then removed. Or should I say the spawning was then removed, because if you use the summon command, it is still possible to get. I just wouldn't recommend that you stand too close when you do. So zombies and zombie piglins like to break these turtle eggs. That's not the weird part. The weird part is that when they stomp on these eggs, the particles that it gives off are from the chicken egg texture, not the turtle egg, which is a bug for sure, but a bug that's also been unresolved. And since both the chicken and the egg came first, Mojang probably just thought they could use this texture and not have to worry about making a new one for the turtle egg. A little wax goes a long way. So if you manage to have any beeswax that you could use on your friend's copper blocks, then whether they're trying to let them oxidize or not, just going through and waxing a couple blocks here and there could be enough to make them think that they're going crazy, or could also let you you tuck in a hidden message if you want as well. And this one's probably the definition of a slow burn, since oxidizing copper already takes a long time. And with that wax, it's gonna take even longer. Which at that point, it might be good for you too. You get to basically forget about the prank, and then be surprised when you remember how badly you got them. Here's how to turn your pistons from this into this. And the secret behind this isn't doing something like McMakestein's mod, even though that is cool, but instead by just using the set block command with different parts of the piston, we can separate the head from the body and then place fence post lining in the middle. And there you have it, a giant piston. And if you really wanted to, you could even make this into the sticky variant as well. Just don't expect it to retract anything. There's no off switch for this one. Minecraft held items haven't always made a lot of sense. Like, why is it when I hold these Nether Sprouts items, they're floating in my hand instead of, holding in my hand? And here we're gonna make that example look basically normal. Since using this command that you see on screen, we're able to change the size of any held item that we have in our hand. So while we both might have a diamond sword, I think we all can agree that that's not a knife. Now that's a knife. And now the only thing you have to worry about is people thinking that you're compensating, which, next point. As we've talked in the past, Minecraft sprites don't always line up with the game's world. And a long-standing example of that lies with our classic helmets. See, in the iron, gold, and diamond variants, there's no sign of a nose piece in the sprite. But when you put it on, those pixels just appear. And to be clear, I don't think anyone is against the idea of having a nose piece on the helmets. But maybe take a page out of the Netherite's book and update the sprites. And hey, since Spectral Arrows got fixed, maybe there is some hope. Herobrine isn't just a Minecraft myth, he's a Minecraft icon. Dating back to a community-made story on 4chan, Herobrine supposedly leaves around spooky sand pyramids and long, pointless tunnels around your single-player world. And despite what some players try to get you to believe, he doesn't exist and never existed in Minecraft's code. But that doesn't mean that Notch didn't acknowledge it, since in fact, back in the day, Notch did say on Twitter that he planned to add Herobrine to the game soon. Though, this obviously never happened. And the most that we ever got, and likely will ever get, are these official changelogs saying things suggesting that Herobrine was finally removed, even if he wasn't there in the first place. With the World of Color update in 1.12, a lot of our dyed items changed color, and they weren't the only ones to do it, since the shulker boxes also got a whole new set of colors. And personally, I kinda like how some of the original colors look for the shulker boxes, but it's hard to say that the new ones aren't more true to the actual dye colors, so I get why the change was made. If you're really looking to take your items for a spin, then there's really nothing that matches up to a honey block roundabout. The way it works is that items are dispensed in the back and then pushed around in the honey blocks in circles by the pistons. While it really just amounts to a pretty show, I've got no problems with that. It is kind of mesmerizing to watch. And it's worth noting for the sake of being thorough that even if all the items don't get collected at the front, then they still get picked up in the back and then funneled into the system. That little tidbit isn't going to make it any more practical, but it is worth noting because, hey, at least it's functional. So if you got a rumbly in your tumbly for all kinds of weird storage, then this is definitely the best you'll find in the entire 100-acre wood. Now, a netherite beacon is a huge flex, but when you crunch the numbers, you might want to reconsider that. Since to get all the materials necessary to pull off a full netherite beacon, you would need 5,904 netherite scraps, which sure enough means you're gonna have to find 5,904 ancient debris blocks, and I just can't account for that kind of luck. So if you're Wadsy and want to do this for a thumbnail, that's completely fine, but for a regular person like you and me, I don't think that's gonna cut it. But hey, at least it's more blast resistant than a regular beacon. That's gotta account for something, but not the amount of time that it would take to find 5,904 netherite scrap. With the help of the new mangrove planks, we can build something like this. I'm so sorry. But if you want to build this suspicious statue in your own world, all you need are some mangrove slabs, 2 doors, and a trapdoor to cover up the block for the center visor. Plus, if you partner this with the new sculk blocks, that will really make this look out of this world. In Java 1.20, Minecraft added in these special paintings that were originally found in the Bedrock game files. But to say that they added them in is really just a technicality. I mean, sure, they had a data pack that was official that could let you use these paintings, but they're still not obtainable through regular gameplay. Maybe that's for good reason, because as Phoenix SC shows off, these definitely get pretty close to being the 4 elements from Avatar. Who knows, maybe the original 3 paintings were all fine until the fire painting attacked. But what makes this even stranger is that now that we're getting new paintings in 1.21, these still aren't on the docket. Yeah, I don't know, maybe they want to forget about it too. I also didn't like the Avatar Netflix show. While everyone likes to talk about all the new stuff that we got with a new release, there's also plenty that's been removed. So I'm sorry to let you know that in 1.18, Mojang actually removed 34 biomes from the game. But rest assured, sure, that's only because these sub-biomes only existed for the old generation to work, and nowadays with the new one, they're unnecessary. Now, Beacon's a tough block to get. Not only do you need to kill the Wither, but you also need Glass and Obsidian, which are two blocks that you don't want to punch with your fist. But when you put them together into a beacon, then, no matter if you're using a pickaxe or not, you're able to break that just the same, which always looked so weird to me. I would have thought that at least the Obsidian would mean that we need a diamond pick. But no, we're able to break this any which way that we want. Though for me, the way that I want might still be with a pickaxe. It just looks safer. Of all the items in Minecraft, there's only one that has the word blocks in its name that isn't an actual block. And of course, that would be the music disc for the track, well, Blocks. But that's also why it sticks out like a sore thumb when you type in the word block into the creative menu. Obviously, one of these is not like the others. Even though magma cubes are made of, well, magma, they can swim in water just fine. And in fact, they're the only mob that you'll find in the Nether that can swim normally. There's a lot of debates over whether birch logs are ugly, and while I don't want to weigh in on those, I will say that Snapshot 20W28A didn't do you any favors. Since back then, there was a very weird bug when it came to birch trees, where when you'd load up your world, the birch trees would spawn in a square formation in every birch forest, creating this really unnatural sight. And I get that Minecraft's a game made out of squares and cubes, but this might just be pushing it too far. If we were to set up one of our portals bigger than the other end of the entrance, then when we go through, we will be teleported to our other destination, except you'll get bigger every time. And so if we take this to its logical extreme, we can get incredibly huge until we're basically rivaling the giant zombie. Although we're able to do a lot more. I'm thankful for that. Except they have 100 points of health and we only have 20, so I think we still got kind of a raw deal here. If you look closely, you'll notice that the chest that's inside of the chest bow isn't the same chest as the one that's inside of the minecart, but rather the chest texture that shows in the chest bow is 12 by 12 pixels, while the one in the actual block is 14 by 14. But I guess that just goes to show that those 2 extra pixels weren't all that necessary, because I didn't even notice. Some changes might be hard to notice until you take that closer look. Like this change to the way that chunks render. Now, they work in something of a cylinder pattern instead of the square one from before. And hopefully, even if it is hard to notice, it should help make the game run that little bit smoother. Anyone who's ever come across a silverfish spawner knows that these suckers love to crawl inside of blocks. And while most of the time that's just a pain to deal with, strange as it may seem, we can actually use it for mining. Yeah, no joke. All you gotta do is anger one of them, and that'll cause the rest of them to break out of their blocks and join in. Meaning, essentially, we can dig a hole without a pickaxe. But in practice, it's just ridiculous. So even though it works, the cost to your sanity to pull this off might be too high to pay. There is no limit to the amount of bats that can hang from a single block, which sounds unimportant, but when you execute it like this, it becomes quickly noticeable, and it can make for a pretty serious prank to surprise your friends down in the caves. Though, since it's impossible to tie bats to a lead, I don't know how you'd get all of them together to do this without a spawn egg. It's physically possible to explode a block of obsidian. Now, obviously, you couldn't do this with regular TNT, no matter how many you explode at once, but if you use this command to summon a prime piece of TNT with an explosion power of 72 or above, it'll be strong enough to destroy a piece of obsidian. And with that, folks, YouTube thinks that you might like this video, so see if they're right and have a good one, alright?